This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball from a chilly Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis. Game number 2 of 3 between the Milwaukee Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals. Last night in the opener, a couple of long balls for the Cardinals, and this is starting to get better. The offense getting better with home runs. Guys that you expect to put up big numbers, they're starting to do that. Resemble more of what we've seen from years past. Alan Craig, Matt Holliday both go deep, but the Cardinals would lose last night 5-3. That's the Hall of Famer Tim McCarver. My name is Dan McLaughlin. Mike Matheny, Tim, called it one of the toughest losses of the season so far, if not the toughest loss. So how do you bounce back?
Well, Dan, because of baseball's excruciating schedule, you have about 2 hours after the game to celebrate a win or 2 hours to mourn a loss. The Cardinals obviously are over that. The one thing they're taking away, as you said, the 2 home runs by Alan Craig and Matt Holliday, taking away from even a tough, and I mean a very tough loss last night.
And tonight the Cardinals have right-hander Lance Lynn and an old friend Kyle Loesch making the start for Milwaukee. Every day's a holiday. A closer look at the Cardinals left fielder. That's next.
teammate for the Brewers, gets the call as well. His record stands at 4 wins and 1 loss. A thorn in his side in the past has been his former battery mate, Yadier Molina. Will that change tonight? We're about to find out. Ballpark Village is packed. Over 40,000 expected this evening. It's the Cards, it's the Brewers. Next on Fox Sports Midwest. Brought to you by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. It's Chevy Truck Month. Visit your Mid-America Chevy dealers to take advantage of Truck Month offers on the all-new Chevy Silverado. And by Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Welcome back to Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis, along with Tim McCarver. My name is Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes as well. A look at the Milwaukee Brewers lineup. Winners last night in extra innings. A banged-up lineup. Carlos Gomez, Elian Herrera, then Scooter Gennett, Chris Davis, Lyle Overbay, Mark Reynolds, Jeff Bianchi, Martin Maldonado, and Kyle Loesch. He's 0 for 11 this season. They'll face Lance Lynn tonight. Lance Lynn, 4-1 this season. That one loss last time out, the day game at Citi Field in New York, and his numbers presented by Kia.
How about his only loss in April of his career? 12-1 in April. So Lance Lynn used to getting off to good starts.
Here's Carlos Gomez. The first pitch, fouled back, and we're underway.
You talked about the decimated Brewer lineup, Dan. LaCroix, Ramirez, Segura, and Braun all out. So that means the weight, I think, shifts to Carlos Gomez. He becomes the pivotal guy tonight. If you can keep him off the base, then your chances of winning go dramatically up.
0-2. Ryan Braun did make it to the on-deck circle last night, never entered the game. The temperature, by the way, has dramatically dropped here in downtown St. Louis, 57 degrees. The start of our game this evening. Carlos Gomez originally started with the New York Mets, part of the Johan Santana deal. So he's been a a couple of big deals that also brought him to Milwaukee for shortstop J.J. Hardy. The 0-2. First time we saw Lance Lynn was in 2011, as the outfield is deep and straight away. At that point in time, working out of the bullpen for St. Louis, did make a spot start and was just outstanding in that postseason run. An all-star the following season when he became a starter. And the Cardinals, Tim, as you mentioned, trying to figure out the middle months, the summer months. How can they get him to this level of what he's done in April and down the stretch?
Yeah, he's won 11 games before the All-Star game in both 2012 and 2013. How do you stay strong for the whole year?
Well documented coming into shape last year, spring training, dropping the weight. He's a big guy, too.
He is. From Marion County, Indiana.
The 2-2. The check swing, and he went. A strikeout to start this game. Cardinals defense behind Lynn tonight, presented by Dobbs. In left, it's Holiday. Grichuk, first start in center, first start in the big leagues. Alan Craig is in right. It's Carpenter at third, Peralta at short, Ellis and Adams on the right side of the infield, and Yadier Molina is behind the plate. The versatility is what brought Randal Grichuk to the big leagues. He can play all three outfield positions.
Playing two last night, starting off in right, a couple of innings later going to center.
Elian Herrera, mentioned it last night, wearing number 15. The guy that patrolled center was a pretty darn good one. That's Jimmy Edmonds, who wore number 15. One ball, one strike. So first half, outstanding, 27-10. Second half, a different story at 11-9. Slightly higher ERA. Found it interesting, Tim, that the Cardinals go with Yadier Molina tonight behind the plate instead of Tony Cruz. And Cruz and Lynn had really developed a good rapport.
Yadi catching Lynn his first couple of starts, and Tony Cruz with several. And now back to Yadi. I don't think you can go wrong either way. The one thing that catching Tony Cruz does, it gives Yadier Molina an off day, and the Cardinals, more than probably any other player in the National League, they're going to have to find a way to do that for Molina. He is the most irreplaceable player, in my opinion, in baseball.
And I'm sure the temptation every time Mike Matheny comes to the ballpark is to write number 4 in that lineup.
Yeah. For all of the above reasons.
3-2 the count on Herrera. Switch hitter, the right fielder tonight. And a fly ball lifted into center. Randal Grichuk. 2 down. Let's take a look at our umpires here tonight. Game number 2 between the Cards and the Brewers. Calling the balls and strikes, DJ Rayburn. Dan Bellino is at first. The crew chief is Jeff Kellogg. And Toby Bassner is at third. Scooter Gennett digs in for the first time. Very good game number 1. He's played so well, we talked about it, but Ricky Weeks finds himself now on the bench. Final year of his deal for the Brewers. That's strike 1.
Scooter turning 24 in 2 days this Thursday. So only 23 years old. He is a good player. You can tell by the way he moves around. He's got great baseball sense.
You know many guys named Scooter?
I know of no power hitter named Scooter.
I agree. Mom gave him that name when he was watching the Muppet Babies as a kid. Called him Scooter, so it stuck, and here he is in the big leagues.
Didn't his mother also use it as an alias when he didn't want to wear a seatbelt? She took him to the police station, and she said, "This is my son Scooter. He won't wear a seatbelt. He wears seatbelts now." It's a pretty effective Wait, I don't think I've ever heard of anybody doing that, but that's when Scooter first used Scooter.
2 outs, nobody on, and a ball and 2 strikes on Scooter. That's hit out of play. And the Brewers, if they would win tonight, Tim, it would be the first series win in the last 7 between these two teams. They have not won against St. Louis dating back to 2012. And the story of this season right now in baseball, one of them, the start of the Milwaukee Brewers.
No doubt about that.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
Best record in baseball entering tonight's play. But again, shorthanded. And I mean really shorthanded. 4 guys missing from the lineup with punch, all of them.
Late innings, tight ball game. Cardinals could be a little shorthanded too. You had Carlos Martinez pitch on Sunday. He pitched again last night. Then you had Trevor Rosenthal give you 2 innings. So
31 pitches last night.
You wonder about their availability late.
Mm-hmm.
The 2-2. Slap the other way, coming in a step or 2 to make the catch is Matt Holliday. 1-2-3 inning for Lance Land. No score after a half inning here at Busch. And the Village. Matt Carpenter leads it off, followed by Craig and Holliday. Then it's Adams, the cleanup man, a .364 average, 5 home runs against Milwaukee in his career. Molina, Peralta, Grichuk, Ellis, and Lance Land. The Cardinals face an old friend, Kyle Loesch, tonight. He's 4-1, off to a very good start.
He's won 4 straight. The last time he won 5 straight was when he was with the Cardinals back in 2008. Won 55 games and lost 35 in a St. Louis uniform over 5 years. This guy can really pitch. A little dart here, cutter here, sinker there, change speeds, occasional breaking ball. He knows what he's doing.
Matt Carpenter looks at strike 1. Carpenter at .280 with 1 home run, 9 RBIs. Had a double last night in the first. Holliday brought him in. And you mentioned he's pitching. And Tim, early on in his career, a fiery guy, got into it with Ron Gardenhire when he was with Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point in time in his career, when he would get frustrated on the mound, he'd start throwing harder. So you saw a guy that was consistently 94, 95. Then he'd hit 96. And instead of pitching, there's a difference between throwing and pitching, as you well know. It was frustrating for him, frustrating for the Twins. But now you look at him, and he's put this all together. Really changes speeds.
I don't want to put too much weight on this, but sometimes, this is an odd statement, you probably will find, sometimes an injury is good for a guy. It forces him into a situation where he becomes a better pitcher, because he can't amp up.
The late swing by Carpenter. That injury that I believe you're going to happened here in St. Louis when he squared around a bunt against Johnny Cueto. The Brewers defense brought to you by Dobbs, Davis, Gomez, and Herrera in the outfield. Reynolds' second start this year at third base. Bianchi, Jeanette, Overbay, and Martin Maldonado is behind the plate. And at that point in time, it was such a frustrating injury for Kyle Lohse. Squared to bunt, gets hit, and has an odd injury with his forearm.
Against the Royals, right?
He had two of them. It happened
that's
twice.
Right. That's right. It did happen twice. Right.
So he gets hit by Cincinnati, then gets hit again by Kansas City. Couldn't believe it, clearly. And it did force him to change how he pitched. There was also the Dave Duncan effect that Lohse talks about as well. And this is Alan Craig. Lohse right now in year 2 of a 3-year contract. He signed late in the offseason a year ago. And he said the other day that he feels this time last year really playing catch up in the first month just to get in shape, baseball shape, the arm in shape. And now that it's had that full spring, this is why he's off to this kind of start.
Yeah, he's had 2 odd signings, 2 March signings in his last free agent contracts. One on March 15th, the other on March 25th. So getting in shape to pitch early in the season has been a problem the first year of each contract, both with the Cardinals and the Brewers.
Here's a 2-2 pitch to Alan Craig. Homered here last night, just missed on the outside corner. Craig is in the second spot in the lineup for just the 5th time this year.
That's a great example of how hitters have to lay off that pitch just off the plate, because as much as any pitcher in the National League, Lohse can get you out with balls, not strikes. I'm reminded of that Greg Maddux line. Throw balls that look like strikes and throw strikes that look like balls.
Not many, though, could make a dance like Greg Maddux.
Nobody could make a dance. And, you know, there was a guy, when he got in trouble, he didn't go harder, he went softer.
Exactly.
And a guy like Lohse in his younger days could learn a lot from Greg Maddux. Of course, every pitcher can.
A 3-2 pitch. Getting Craig to reach. Ball 4. It stays 3-2. Get the feeling that Craig is very close. Now, you hear that an awful lot, but he's starting to hit the ball hard the other way. Had the home run last night. As a team, the Cardinals hitting .242. And some of their bigger stars, in talking with those around the club, they feel that guys like Craig, maybe Peralta, putting a lot of pressure on themselves with the rest of this lineup not doing what they normally have done, so they try to do a little bit too much, and hence you have a slow start. Lohse, see the 2-2 record early on against St. Louis in his career, and last year he struggled against St. Louis, 1-3 with an ERA close to 5. And it brings in Holiday.
That was really a gritty at bat by Alan Craig. Just laying off balls that are very difficult to lay off of.
Outfield very deep, big gap in left center. Three for 6 last night. Home run for Matt Holiday. Hits it the other way. The catch is made. That's Herrera in right field, and there's 2 down. With 2 down, it brings in the Cardinals cleanup man, Matt Adams. What do you think about Kyle Loesch? Slider, fastball, the curve, and changeup. Can throw all pitches anytime in the count. Throws them for strikes.
To either side of the plate.
And here's the shift, by the way, for Adams.
That's an example right there. Backdoor breaking ball to start off Matt Adams. You say backdoor, a right-handed pitcher goes away to a left-handed batter or inside to a right-handed batter. That's known as the backdoor breaking ball. When a catcher sets up inside to a left-handed batter, it's not going to be a backdoor or anything if he hits the spot. So I guess for simplicity's sake, the front door is inside to a left-hander and the back door is away. That's the front door.
Where's the side door? You got a basement here too. I mean, you've got it all. By the way, I enjoyed listening to you and Mike Shannon on the pregame.
Oh my gosh!
I could have listened to that all night.
Well, thank you. I don't think I could have taken it all night though. No chance.
Adams shoots it in the gap into left center field. It's cut off. That's Davis. They'll hold the runner at third, Alan Craig, and it's a double for Matt Adams.
Good hitting by Adams, going with the pitch. The pitch was on the outside part of the plate. Alan Craig with 2 outs. Alan Craig is not a fast runner. That's why Jose Oquendo held him at third. Kind of inside out of that ball. I thought it was outside, but like it might have been off the plate a little in. But Jose Oquendo had to wait to see what the outfielder and the relay man did before he determined how to handle Alan Craig. He did and held him at third properly.
Brings in Molina and Yachty, 9 for 16, a couple of home runs against Kyle Loesch.
See, because of that swing right there, I just do not get some defenses. Lyle Overbay is almost halfway between first and home, and more than any other hitter, perhaps, or certainly in the top 10 in the National League. Yadier Molina can hit the ball to right field, and that means into the position of first base. So how in the world can Overbay play him that far off the line? I don't get it.
1 ball, 1 strike.
And then pitch him away.
Majority of the starts from Loesch, and see the hits by direction. So he sprays it, but tremendous at going the other way. Behind the plate, it was Yadier Molina. Here's a 1-1 pitch to Yachty. Out to deep left center field. Gomez is back. He'll look up. 3-0 Cardinals. Molina, a 3-run shot against his former battery mate Loesch.
That's a happy chorus line right there. You know, Dan, not every pitch that's hit out of the ballpark is a mistake, but that is a rare mistake from a guy who doesn't make many, Kyle Loesch. Watch how it just hangs on the inside part of the plate to Molina.
Belt high.
Yeah.
Right in his wheelhouse. Here's Peralta. Well, we showed you the numbers that Molina's had against Kyle Loesch. I've always been interested in your thoughts when you would face a former teammate that you caught a lot.
Catcher has the advantage. I know where you're going.
Absolutely.
Catcher always has the advantage. Now, catchers are not as good offensive players as others, but when you're catching a guy, you know how things develop, you know how they end, you know how they cross the plate, what pitches he likes when he's ahead, what he can throw when he's behind. Decided advantage for a catcher when he's hitting against a pitcher that he's caught a lot.
1-2. 406 feet distance of that Molina home run. Two-strike pitch to Peralta on the outside corner, and a strikeout for Loesch. The beautiful swing of Yadier Molina. Career high 319 average a year ago. Is he getting better?
Yes.
Only 31 years old in the prime of his career. One swing, 3-0 St. Louis. The Molina home run. The Brewers have Davis, Overbay, and Reynolds here in the top of the second. Let's check in with Jim right now, who's standing by with the Cardinals GM, John Mozeliak. Jimmy.
I am, Dan. Thanks a lot. All right, John. So you guys shuffle the roster a bit yesterday, make a couple of moves, and now Randal Grichuk gets the start in center field. Short term, what are you looking from him?
Well, I think the short view on him is just to start to see some production. Obviously, when you look at what we're getting out of center field, we're trying to just mix and match. And, you know, I think when you have different areas of your lineup struggling at times, other places start to get more exposed. And, you know, it's a tough lineup to balance right now because one night you have someone hot and then a couple guys are cold, and we're just trying to find that right mix. But the one thing I would say is, you know, we need to remain patient because these guys that have historically performed will continue to do so.
Davis goes down on strikes. You send down Colton Wong, you bring up Greg Garcia. What does that say about the future of Wong with the organization, if anything?
Yeah, I wouldn't read too much into it. Obviously, Colton's someone that we're still very high on. You just look at when you're struggling at the major league level, it's really hard to work yourself out of those deeper holes. And he can go down to Memphis, get his work in. I don't imagine it's going to be a long period of time down there, but if he can get 2 to 3 weeks of everyday play and get himself on track, that should help him.
Lyle Overbay steps in. A couple of guys I know are getting real close to going out on rehab assignments, Mott and Garcia. How close are they?
Well, Garcia threw a 64-pitch start today, which was very encouraging. And so he will likely get the Sunday start in Springfield. And then Mott will go back-to-back. He threw today. He'll throw again tomorrow. If all goes well, he'll likely report to Springfield as well this weekend. How do you envision, if everything progresses with Jaime, as we see a shot to the gap, do you see him coming back in the bullpen or in the starting rotation? Nice sliding catch. You know, it's a great question, Jim, and obviously a lot of this is going to be based on need. But you know, Jaime's being prepared to start, and so when we sort of look at the future right now, that's how I think he'd be used.
John, thanks for the time.
As always, Jim, thank you.
All right, Danny.
What a play by Randall Grichuk there in left center. Good job, Jimmy.
Keep in mind that ball's tailing away from Grichuk. A sliding catch. He's trying to avoid Matt Holliday, as most outfielders do. You don't want to run into a guy with a linebacker's body. That was a fine play by Grichuk.
Last year, Randall Grichuk played in 128 games at Arkansas. And
the Angel chain.
Correct. Yep. And the majority of people talk about his tremendous power, rightfully so, but we saw it in spring training. He played all 3 outfield spots and won a Gold Glove in the minor leagues, and that may surprise some. There are Gold Gloves that are awarded in the minor leagues.
You know, I didn't know that until you said it last night. I did not know that.
Are you telling me, with all those national games that you did, all those years?
I did not know that.
Let's go, McCarver. Get with it.
I didn't do any minor league games.
Oh, nice call.
Thank you.
Touche. A double with 2 outs by Reynolds, and it brings in Bianchi.
But I played in a lot of minor league games, I'll tell you.
A lot of bus rides.
Oof. Good hitting by Mark Reynolds, who had a sacrifice fly and an RBI last night with 3 strikeouts. First hit for the Brewers.
Brings in Bianchi. So very encouraging news in that interview with Jim Hayes concerning Jaime Garcia. And having seen Jaime and talking with those around the club, they don't envision any other role except starter. And so you're talking about 80 pitches, rehab assignment, then get up to 100. And if all goes well, mid to late May, potentially in your rotation. There's also the Joe Kelly factor with that, trying to come back from his injury.
Joe Kelly, on the other hand, while he could be starting, would bolster any bullpen. So a lot of good things and good options for Mike Matheny.
You have to juggle what you want to do with a player, too, because Joe Kelly has stated, like Carlos Martinez, Segrist, Rosenthal, they want to be starters. They feel they should be. However, the role that's asked of them is to be in the bullpen. Kelly earns that spot coming out of spring training, and he would be the odd man out, you would have to assume, because of his experience in the bullpen. But many times, as you well know, it just kind of has a way of working itself out.
And it's not a given when Jamie Garcia comes to the big leagues that he's going to be immediately successful. So you always have, again, the option of going back to Kelly. If his first 3 or 4 starts, he could buckle down again, have a problem with that shoulder. Those are the unknowns.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
But this pitching staff has a lot of knowns.
There's Michael Walker on the left, and you saw Shelby Miller on the right. And here's a 2-2 pitch to the shortstop, Bianchi. Popped up and out of play. Outfield is shallow, shading just a bit to the opposite way. And he just got a piece. What have you thought of this start for Lance Lynn? Not in particular tonight, but just in general.
Too early to tell, but certainly with his April success, he's done well. But I think we showed that a graphic earlier about how well he's done in the first half. I think if you ask me that question in August, I'd better be able to handle it. Right now, he's doing the same thing he's done the last 2 years. Another good start, 4-1 on the year.
It's always interesting. I know you talked to Derek Lilliquist, the Cardinals pitching coach, and Cardinals starters with 5 wins in March and April. Wainwright, Kyle, Tewksbury, John Denning, who was tremendous in that year of '77. but they watch mechanically all times with Lance Lynn. Does he fall off? Is he going straight to the plate? We'll talk more about that when he heads back out onto the mound. Strikeout for Lynn and a little help in left center. Randall Grichuk, first ever start in the big leagues, making an impression. Here at the ballpark.
It's like a hockey player on the right.
Missing a few of them choppers, isn't he? Here's Randall Grichuk. Nice play by Randall. And he looks at a ball. You know, the amazing thing is that school is not even out. And yet the Cardinals are drawing night after night to start this season, well over 40,000. The season ticket base is at about 24,000. So big crowd for Tim McCarver at Sportsman's Park or Busch Stadium 2 on a Tuesday night would be
27 in April.
Grichuk out to left in his first major league hit. Randall Grichuk.
He'll get the ball too. So a great play in the top of the second inning. And then his first major league hit in the bottom of the second inning. Second to none, Grichuk.
And how about these fans?
They gave the ball away. Wait a minute. Oh, no, they switched it. No, they tricked us.
How many times Wainwright has done that?
Oh, I haven't noticed. But he threw the ball, getting a fan perhaps to think that he got Grichuk's first major league hit.
He's always doing that.
Oh, he is? I didn't know that.
He never stops.
There'll be a few things I didn't know this first month or two.
Here's Mark Ellis, and a breaking ball is taken for a strike. What a tremendous play he made defensively last night, and with Colton Wong being sent down, Ellis back in a familiar spot, which is everyday second baseman. Cardinals, by the way, flirted with the idea of bringing up Oscar Taveras. Some publications have him as the #1 overall prospect in all of baseball. Some thought that he would come up, not Grichuk. A fly ball lifted out to left off the bat of Ellis. And there's one away. So with one out, Lance Lynn set to dig in for the first time tonight. We turn to Tim McCarver's Toyota keys to the game.
It's pretty simple. I think the Cardinals trying to pounce on the weakened Brewers with 4 of their 8 main guys in the lineup out. We mentioned it earlier. Segura, Braun, Lucroy, and Ramirez. Big hit so far, Yadier Molina. And when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense to start Yadi tonight and not tomorrow afternoon. Night game after a 12-inning game last night, and if he starts tonight, which he's doing, a big 3-run home run, and then rest him tomorrow.
Here's what you're talking about. Segura, Ramirez, Braun out of this lineup. Ramirez was hit by a pitch last night twice. One led to a run. Tied it up at 3-3, and the Brewers eventually came back to win it. Cool night here at the ballpark.
Pretty shot right there.
With this cool weather, you wonder about grips on the baseball, and that's been talked about an awful lot because of Michael Pineda. What happened with the pine tar incident, the Yankees. That's up and in to Lynn. There are some, Tim, in baseball that believe that a change with that ruling and pitchers and having not necessarily a foreign substance, but something to help them out with the grip of the baseball, especially April, early May in certain cities, October, that's something that baseball needs to look into for safety reasons for the hitter.
I was always amused by that term, a foreign substance, pertaining to pine tar. It's not that foreign. I mean, you could find pine tar in this country.
A lefty first baseman going to second. Makes that throw a little bit easier. And they just get Randall Grichuk.
Grichuk running hard to second base. A very close play. Called out by Jeff Kellogg. And the return throw to first base. Not in time. Close. Real close.
And look at the gamesmanship happening right now as Carpenter late getting to the batter's box.
Good point.
Making sure the Cardinals review it. And technically the next play is when review is over. Cannot go back to the previous play. So when is the next play? It's when the pitcher is on the rubber and the batter's in the box.
So to complete that answer to your question, I think that pine tar should be used in cold weather, not in hot weather. Say 60 degrees or lower than that. I think most guys have a very difficult time gripping the ball. So I think that rule should be changed. But above 60 degrees, no. Then it's a fine.
I think you and I both will agree on this. If you're going to use it and it's a quote unquote foreign substance, do a little better job hiding it.
Yeah, you got to do that. You can't have it found on your hand one start and then on your neck the other.
I always found it incredibly interesting too what pitchers would do. The rings, the leather of the glove, they might sharpen that a little bit, or a catcher might do something with his shin guards.
A lot of that stuff's just totally overrated in my view. I never knew a catcher, and I was never involved in a situation where I was asked to do that. The one time that I was involved in chicanery, I guess that's the word, was when I knew Lou Burdett had a spitter in 1963, and a tug on the chest protector was my sign for the spitter. So I colluded with Lou. And that's a fact. Lou Burdett came to the Cardinals in 1963, and he did throw a spitter.
Strikeout of Carpenter. Randall Grichuk off to a great start in his first ever major league start. Sliding catch in left center and a smile. First ever major league hit. Cardinals get 9 hits tonight. You're invited into Krispy Kreme tomorrow. You'll receive a dozen of their original glazed donuts for only $3.99. Krispy Kreme. What a feeling it must be. Your first ever start. Get a nice sliding catch, take a hit away, and then you know what? The pressure's off now. You get that first major league hit. Nicely done, Randall Grichuk. You signed in what, 1959?
Yes.
And came to the Cardinals in 63.
Came to the Cardinals in 59, 60, and 61, parts of all 3 years. And then
but the first full season.
First full season was Stan Musial's last full season.
Because I remember talking to you in spring training as we get a look at Martin Maldonado. And you were mentioning how in 59 you get the call up, parts of 60, 61, but you mentioned 63 where it all kind of came together for you, being a full-time player. But when you're playing at that age, you were a young man, 1959.
17.
You get that call up. What was that like for you back then? That first major league hit, that first game?
The year before, I was cheering for the Cardinals as a senior in high school in Memphis. And all of a sudden, I'm on the bench of the St. Louis Cardinals. And Henry Aaron was my favorite player. And in Milwaukee in 1959, sitting on the bench, my first game, I said, "Come on, Hank." I actually had one cheer for Hank Aaron. And Alex Grammas, shortstop, came over to me and said, "Son, up here we cheer for our guys." And that's a true story.
That's
and
great.
I turned purple as I got all these looks from everybody on left and right on the bench. Not a good feeling.
The 2-2 misses on the inside corner. That was great to hear you and Mike reminiscing about 64, and we'll celebrate that championship. You were part of some great teams in the 60s. You told us last night roommate was Bob Uecker.
Yep, right next door tonight. So Mike on the left, Uke on the right, me in the middle. I saw Uke tonight before the game, and we talked about the room we shared as roommates at the Bel Air East, paying $12 a piece, 2 double beds, in a very small room and 1 bathroom.
What a piece of work.
Oh my gosh. He's a comedic genius. We said it last night and believe it.
The 3-2 is a base hit out to left. Holiday over to get it. And Maldonado as the second hit tonight for Milwaukee. We had a lot of fans tell us how much fun it was listening to you last night. Why do you have your head down? Come on, look
because
at that.
that's a long time ago.
The guy on the left is kind of handsome. Who's that guy on the right? Oh,
one out of 2 is not bad. Right? Oh my gosh, things have changed.
Here's the bunt by Loesch. Adams covering the bag is second baseman Ellis, and advancing on the play Maldonado.
Cardinal fans saw that when Kyle Loesch was pitching for the Cardinals. He was an excellent bunter, guy who feels his position well, does all the other things that pitchers do. The 2011 World Series, who can forget Game 6? Kyle Loesch as a pinch bunter, nobody out first and second, and bunting the guys to third. A 6-4 putout at first base.
Never seen it.
Elvis Andrus to Ian Kinsler, the second baseman for the Rangers, and the Cardinals tied it in that inning and won it on David Free's 11th inning home run. And Joe Buck said, "We'll see you tomorrow night." One of the great calls after his dad said it 20 years ago. Unbelievable.
David Eckstein was with us Friday night, MVP of the 06 World Series. And I'm not sure if you were watching that night, but he said he was a fan in the stands for Game 6 as Gomez hits it out of play. He said it drew him back by being a fan that night to his love of the game of baseball.
Wow.
He said he had retired He was working with kids down in Florida, which is where he is from. And he said, I've always been around a team that kids that I love to coach, but this brought me back to why I ever started playing the game and loving it.
There are an awful lot of people that say that Game 6 was the greatest game ever played in World Series history. I would not have an argument for that.
I would say it was, from the Cardinals' perspective, yes. This is lifted in the air out to center. Grichuk makes the catch. Shows off the arm.
I'm not talking about individual performance.
Sure.
Because Don Larson, the perfect game in 1956, individual performance. Jack Morris in 1991.
Minnesota and Atlanta.
Against Atlanta. 10 innings, 1-0 win. Individual performance, no. The two great games at Yankee Stadium, games 4 and 5 in the 2001 World Series, where the Yankees trailed by a run in the 9th inning with 2 outs, 2 games in a row, and they won both games on the Tino Martinez home run, Scott Brosius home run, then 1 in extra innings. So individual performances, but as far as all of the elements of the game, to me, I don't think you can disagree with those that say Game 6 in 2011 was the best ever.
And it wasn't the prettiest of game either.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
But the little things that you're talking about, like Losh's bunt, and the fact that La Russa, if they don't win that game, is done.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He had privately said it was over for him. Just an incredible night, and one we'll never forget. I look back when you and Joe were doing the World Series of '01 and the social significance of that 9/11.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And one of the great World Series ever. Arizona, the Yankees, the dramatic wins, the home runs off of Byung-Hyun Kim. It was awesome. Elian Herrera with 2 outs and a runner at second as we play here in the top of the 3rd. And that's out of play.
And in that Game 7, with the Cardinals and the Rangers tied at 3 games apiece in 2011, what might have happened had Yadier Molina not picked Ian Kinsler off at first base?
That's right.
Instead of the Rangers scoring 2 runs off Chris Carpenter and Carpenter getting it all together after that, who knows how many they might have scored.
Overlooked play.
Yeah.
Speaking of Chris Carpenter, he has been hired by the club, and he's off to Springfield tomorrow. And so he'll have a look up close with Garcia and Mott going there. But he's going to help the higher level prospects at AA and AAA. And Jason Isringhausen, former Cardinals closer, has just been hired by the team as well. And he'll be down in the lower levels working with the pitchers. Grichuk again. Can he get to it? He will. That's in left center, and the catch is made. Like what I see from Randall Grichuk. Covers some ground out in center. Shelby Miller 2-2 will come your way at noon tomorrow here on your home of the Cardinals, Fox Sports Midwest. We always thank the servicemen and women. Great to see them at the ballpark and enjoying America's pastime. Alan Craig will lead it off. It's Craig, Holiday, and Adams for St. Louis. Hall of Famer Tim McCarver, Jim Hayes, Dan McLaughlin with you, and our entire crew, wherever you may be. Hope you're enjoying Cardinals baseball here tonight. Strike at the knees. Tim was just going crazy at Ballpark Village last night. We had to yank him out of there and tell him to get some rest for this game tonight.
Had to eat somewhere.
Why not there? Tony La Russa was saying in his mind Dave Duncan should be in the Hall of Fame. And Dave, the longtime pitching coach for Tony, really helped out Kyle Loesch when he got to St. Louis. And when he signed, as you mentioned, one-year deal, which then turned into a multi-year contract because of how well he fit into St. Louis and what he was doing with Dave Duncan. And one thing that they picked up on was a sinker, really pounding the zone with that. You see that time and again. The other thing was they saw him tipping pitches. He would open his glove with off-speed pitches.
For the grip. That's exactly what pitchers do. They open the glove, and hitters can see that because they're trying to grip it differently. The fastball does not require, as for the sake of a better word, a fat grip. It fits into the hand nice and evenly, but a curveball doesn't.
It's sharply to short on a hop, and the low throw, and Craig is retired. Hashtag STL fan photo for a chance to have it shown. You tweet us your photos, we show it later in the telecast. It's brought to you by AT&T. You can see on the glove too where the index finger would be coming out for Loesch. That is covered up many times.
Oh, on the glove hand.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pitcher will give that away. They picked that up with Kyle Loesch as well. There's so much video in the game today. You know, it's one thing about a player that is so cerebral in picking up when someone is tipping pitches, but the video all the time is shown, and at bats are broken down. At bat, pitch after pitch.
He's got a glove right now where the index finger does not tip out, but there's a slot for it. You can see that slot right there. That's for the index finger, which wouldn't allow him, because it's stitched tightly, and it wouldn't allow him to. I wonder if Kyle had that especially made for him, and I would think that would be the case. With a glove like that, you can't lift the index finger and perhaps show a curveball.
Late call, and Holiday strikes out as he has words with the home plate umpire.
Breaking ball.
What has separated the Brewers early on has been their pitching and their bullpen. The team ERA 2.56 as Adams digs in for the second time. He doubled back in the first and chases a pitch up, and that ERA is second in the major leagues behind the Braves. Amazing to see what the Braves have been able to do, losing 3 starters, and yet their ERA is just over 2.
60% of their starting staff is down with injuries. I guess I should say are down with injuries.
You see that the teams that win, they have depth or they make the right moves. Sometimes it's out of necessity. In this case, it was Santana going to the Atlanta Braves. Aaron Harang, who knows if he can keep at this pace, but they signed those two, and those have been great finds.
While 60% of the Atlanta staff is down with injuries this year, 40% of the Atlanta staff 20 years ago is going to the Hall of Fame this year. Tommy Glavine and Greg Maddux.
Adams pops it up. Is it playable? Overbay doesn't see it, and it drops in. Adams has a life. We saw Lyle Overbay a few years ago when he wasn't wearing that Milwaukee Brewers uniform, but he had issues at this ballpark. Fans may remember that as Jeanette gave up on the play and it drops in.
Yeah, that ball is too deep down the right field line for Overbay to be concerned, particularly as a left-handed thrower. That's just not an angle that a first baseman can get to easily. Right-handers a better chance, but that was clearly a second baseman's ball and just dropped in.
How about that? He beats the shift. That drops into right field. And a base hit for Matt Adams, who's 2 for 2.
After a foul ball that could have been caught.
How many times you say that?
Yeah.
At this level, extra chances turn into base hits. 13th multi-hit game for Matt Adams. Being a former catcher, we're watching Yadier Molina. We're watching a Hall of Fame career come together in many ways. His offense now catching up with his defense. What is it about his game, outside of the obvious, the caught stealing and the offense on the rise, but what is it about it that really catches your eye when you watch him?
Well, I mean, there's a lot said about Yadi working with the pitchers, and you know there is some truth to that. But the elements that he brings to the game that are the most important elements: his ability to throw, his ability to handle pitching, working on the ball down in the dirt, and his improvement as a hitter. The stuff with the pitching staff, he's very bright. Goes out to the mound a lot. He's almost a coach on the field. I agree with all that. But the elements that make him so valuable are his physical elements and not necessarily the other elements that he brings to the game, in my view.
A 3-run homer, first time up.
Because you got to start with the fact that he is an exceptional thrower, an exceptional guy at blocking balls. A guy who should be given all the credit in the world with improving offense.
Up the middle, and Bianchi flips to second, and they just get him.
And don't get me wrong, I mean, working with the pitching staff is very important, but not as important as the other things.
Optimizing your world. By Schnucks, your neighborhood hometown grocer for 75 years. And head to Jack in the Box and try the new Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich. It's Jack's hottest sandwich yet. That's guaranteed to keep him up until about 1:30 or 2.
Turning your lips green.
That's how it's done. Don't pay attention to anything in the game. Make sure you get your cotton candy. Your brother better not steal a bunch of it. Fun at the old ball yard. 1 ball, 1 strike on Scooter Gennett. Lynn had 54 pitches. Gennett lined out to left first time up. Lance Lynn has been a strikeout pitcher in his career, averaging better than 9 per 9. He has 3 here tonight. He's allowed 1 base hit, and that was to Maldonado.
Lance flirting with 200 over the last 2 years. 180 strikeouts a couple of years ago, 198 last year. I guess 200 would be the mark of a strikeout pitcher. Anything below that, not necessarily.
I want you to take a look at his delivery. Cardinals, and I mentioned this earlier, how they really do pay attention to every pitcher, clearly. But with Lynn, they will see him at times fall off towards the first baseline. They want that direct line to the plate. And a lot of times if he's falling off, you see pitches stay up. Doesn't stay behind the baseball.
A lot of that has to do with the front foot. It's very simple. You can't have too many keys as a hitter or a pitcher. It's very simple. Point your front foot toward the target. And that's what the Cardinals continually try to remind Lance Lynn.
Off his glove, Ellis gloves it with the speed of Gennett. It's a base hit.
And once you release the ball, try to be in a position to catch the ball and to feel your position.
Mentioned Greg Maddux earlier, maybe the best all time.
Jim Cott, not too bad. 16 straight gold gloves for Kitty. But that is a good point, I think, Dan, that you bring up, that and you can see it, that Lance is a big man, and the bigger you are, the more that momentum when you throw that hard is going to carry you to the left. I mean, that's from a common sense standpoint.
Here's Davis, who struck out. He has struck out 5 times in this series, and late with that swing. Had a triple, though, late last night. Insurance triple and RBI. As Milwaukee won the game 5-3.
You've heard many times about the violence of a golf swing at contact. Well, for a pitcher, it's the violence of that back leg, that front leg, bringing that back leg over like that.
Ball scoots away from Molina. Gennett to second base. 1 ball, 1 strike. Wild pitch charge to Lynn.
Yeah, but that's a ball Molina normally feels. He did not go after that ball well, reaching for it instead of getting your body in front of it.
Here's a 1-1. We saw him do that last year, Tim, Molina, where he would pick at the ball. He's got very good hands.
Sometimes you do it because of knee problems. And
exactly.
He had that last year. And when you have a knee problem, he was on the DL with a knee problem last year, and when you have that problem, it's tough to get down and block a ball. That's why you end up reaching for it. The problem with that is you get in a lot of bad habits doing that.
Ground ball hit to the right side. 1 away.
And that last going after that ball in the dirt is just a carryover from trying to protect his knee last year.
Saturday, MLB on Fox Sports 1. It's back as Miguel Cabrera And the Tigers square off against the Royals. That'll be Saturday at 6. Only on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Here's Overbay, who was robbed by Grichuk. The sliding catch in left center. Line drive and a base hit into right field. And Overbay gets Milwaukee on the board. It's now 3-1. RBI number 6.
Lyle Overbay deserves a lot of credit. Written off a couple of years ago, got a job with the Yankees and did a good job, and now he's back with the team with whom he originally signed. Look at how deep Mark Ellis is, almost in shallow right, and Overbay still with a ball that hits in front of the right fielder and second baseman.
So Jeanette with the first run for Milwaukee. Brings in Reynolds. He could tie it up with one swing. Doubled his first time up, and that pitch down and in. One of the things the Cardinals have asked Lynn to really focus on is trying to avoid the big inning. Sometimes the emotions can get to him. They talk about a lack of focus if things start going south. And for the most part this year, he's done a very good job of limiting the damage. 1 ball, 1 strike. And avoiding those big innings. Pitch count at 66. We talked about it earlier. How limited is Mike Matheny in his bullpen late innings tonight? We'll find out. Two and 1. Second time through the lineup coming into this start tonight. Opponents were hitting just .210 off of Lynn. First time through, nearly .350. Part of that was due to his first 2 starts. He had a first inning in which he gave up 3 runs in both those starts. So the majority of that is coming from. But second time through, statistically, he gets better. The 2-2 is popped up and out of play.
That's unusual too, because most of the time for good pitchers, it's the first time through the order that a team is poor against a starter. Second time better. Third time even better. That's why in this day and age with the pitch count and everything, it's so difficult to pitch a complete game. That was close. The Brewers, by the way, do not have a complete game all year.
With the great pitching they've had, too. Yeah. That's what really has separated them from the pack. And the Brewers at 19 wins. Tim told you it's the best record in baseball at 19-7. First time in franchise history to have 19 wins before May 1st.
That's the Yachty Cardinal fans are used to seeing block balls, the way he went about the last ball in the dirt.
See if they want to start the runner here. That's Overbay. The problem with that, you have a guy that strikes out a lot, Reynolds, and Molina behind the plate. You run into a double play.
Struck out 29 times this year. I think it's prudent for Ron Renicky not to send Overbay. The speed of the runner at first base really has nothing to do with it. Overbay not a fast runner, but whether the hitter makes contact or not has everything to do with it.
Not running and foul back. Remember Jose Hernandez, shortstop for the Brewers?
Yeah.
It was a team that they had Richie Sexson.
They had some guys who could whiff.
And the hitting coach was Rod Carew, of all people.
Of all people, right.
And I remember talking to him, and it just drove him batty for lack of a better term, that they struck out as much as they did. Had Jeff Jenkins on that team. He struck out a bunch.
Yeah, you remember in the age prior to that, Rob Deere.
Oh, yeah.
With the Brewers. So the Brewers have really had a lot of guys throughout their history that have been whiff masters.
And I would say this year, the surprise of baseball. Taken just a bit low, so good at bat by Reynolds on base for the second time. And the first walk issued by Lynn.
Tough pitch from Lynn, a little low. And you're right, a good at bat by Mark Reynolds.
So this is what we're talking about, Tim. You try to avoid that big inning. Already at 74 pitches on the pitch count here for Lynn. Runners at first and second. You saw him upset after that previous pitch. Minimize the damage.
Put the accent on the positive, too. Realize you're one pitch out of getting out of the inning. The ground ball double play.
The Yankee is struck out 0 for 1 tonight.
It's okay to pay attention to the pitch count. It's all right, but you can't be a prisoner to it. And that is my, not pet peeve, major peeve with Major League Baseball. They're prisoners to pitch counts, and you can't do that. Get out of the inning, get your double play ball, put the accent on things that are positive. Too many pitch counts. Throw that clicker away.
0-2 on pitch number 76, Tim. No, I'm just joking. Making sure you're paying attention.
That's good. I was paying attention. I was looking right at you. Well, I mean, you know, as I said, I mean, pay attention to it, but don't be a prisoner to it. And there are organizations that are prisoners to pitch counts.
Here's a ground ball. Was it hit hard enough to turn 2? The turn by Ellis, not in time. So fielder's choice, 6-4 on the play. Brings in Maldonado.
Good play by Mark Reynolds going in hard to Ellis, but Mark has shown Cardinal fans that he hangs in there with the best of them.
8th place hitter here. Runners at first and third.
Because if you pay a lot of attention to pitch counts, you've got to explain why arm injuries are up, not down. And pitch counts are lower, arm injuries are up. Why is that?
I do have a theory.
Give it to me.
I was talking to a group of scouts. This was 2 days ago, I guess. As Maldonado takes a ball. We were talking about all the Tommy John injuries.
16 so far this year.
Amazing. And the theory is that kids, American kids in particular, are playing the sport year-round, not playing other sports, becoming specialized as being a pitcher at the age of, say, 9 or 10 or 11. And instead of just going out and playing catch and playing the game, there's too much specialization when they're younger, to the point that when they do hit 18, 19, 20, and this is not me, this is the scouts, but they feel at that point there's only so many bullets in that wing. And
that's a pretty good explanation. I like that.
And at that point, their arm is not trained properly. 3-0. Get the feeling Lynn is pitching around the 8th place hitter to get to Loesch. Loesch, though, as we've seen, can handle the bat. Outfield is straight away. The 3-0. And he missed outside. So 4 straight. Brings in the pitcher, Loesch. Fans, you can follow every Cardinals game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Live look-ins, replay, scores, stats, highlights. You can get it right now at Cardinals.com. Remember Buck Showalter, we were in spring training, and there was a young player that came up, and he grabbed the media guide and said, I just want to know whether or not this kid has played hockey, football, basketball. Have him play something other than baseball for 12 months, because if not, I believe we're looking at a potential injury at some point. Very interesting. That's outside to the pitcher, Loesch.
Now going out to the mound makes all the sense in the world for Molina to talk to Lance Lynn. 5 straight balls, 4 to the 8-hole hitter, and 1 to the pitcher.
Is that conversation about calming him down, breaking the rhythm that is developed in a negative way? All the above. Molina out to visit with Lynn. Bases are loaded. Two and 0.
Loesch taking intentionally then, and I think he'll take again. Loesch, more than anybody, knows what it's like when you start squeezing the ball and can't get it over.
2 and 1. Two hits in the inning, 2 walks. It's now 2 and 2. So a pitch away from limiting the damage. Takes his time getting back on the mound. Walking around the mound right now is Lynn. This crowd starts to come alive. We'll do it again.
That was one of those hit the ball before it hits me swings. Had he taken that, that ball may have hit him way inside, about a foot off the plate.
Ball just exploded back in.
Yeah, it did.
The crowd is trying to help him. He put away Kyle Loesch. The 2-2. Loesch is a very good golfer, very good athlete, and many times in St. Louis when it came to bunting, he was one of the better pitchers in that regard, but he could every once in a while surprise you and swing the bat.
Alan Craig properly playing him shallow in right field. He's taking contact swings now, not power swings. Not that he has power.
Little floater out to left and a base hit. 1 run is in. Here comes another, and Kyle Loesch has helped himself. A base hit out to left to tie it up.
And Dan, there's no way to defend against a hit like that. Got to tip your cap to Kyle Loesch. But the walk of the 8th place hitter, you know, when you said that he was pitching around the hitter, I mean, the immediate thought is pitching around, you've got a 2-run lead. Why pitch around a guy like that? I don't understand it if that was the case. Or was it a case of him just throwing 4 straight balls? Don't know.
So runners at first and second. Now Gomez. Carlos Gomez struck out swinging back in the first. Flied out to center. That's to the backstop, and the runners advance. So now 2 in scoring position. Yachty's had some issues with the baseball to his right.
I think on that, as Derek Lilliquist is going to come out and talk to Lance Lynn, but it looked to me like Molina was set up inside. No, he wasn't. Nope. Not too many catchers are going to handle that ball.
That is a one-sided conversation right now. So 38 pitches here in the 4th.
That could be a key play because Gomez has great speed. With a runner on third and 2 outs, he could beat out an infield hit.
1-2.
It's funny how in multi-run innings, your pitcher always seems to work slower. The cadence, we talked about cadence last night. Your cadence in shutout innings, much better.
A flow to the game.
Yeah, yeah.
Being on the same page with the catcher.
Mm-hmm. It's a click. You can feel it. It's a rhythm.
1-2 the count. Lynn trying to put away Gomez. He had 2 strikes on Loesch. This is outside. 2-2. Milwaukee has tied it up 3-3. Here in the top of the 4th, runners at second and third with 2 outs and a 2-2 pitch to Carlos Gomez. 4th strikeout of the night for Lynn. But Milwaukee picks up 3. They've tied it up as we move to the home half of the 4th. Get a free large sandwich with any purchase just for downloading. The folks in Big Mac land tonight here at Busch Stadium. So a new game here. It's 3-3. Bottom of 4 rolls in as Loesch helps himself with a 2-out base hit that scored 2, part of a 3-run inning. We'll see if he buckles down. There's Johnny Peralta. It's Peralta, Grichuk, who singled back in the 2nd, his first major league at bat. And Mark Ellis. Activity now in the Cardinals' pen.
Lance Lynn due up 4th in this inning.
Gary LaRocque, who runs the minor league system of the Cardinals, was here last night. And one of the things that he stresses to any minor leaguer at the complex in Jupiter is that you're not that far away. There's not that much that separates you from these guys playing at this ballpark. physically you're there, but it's how you handle failure. I'm sure Gary is a happy man tonight to see another minor leaguer make a debut last night, come through tonight as Peralta rips it foul. Gary LaRocque is approaching his 40th year in baseball.
My gosh, that's great.
Does that surprise you?
That's great. It does surprise me, yes.
He's a good man.
Yes, he is.
Interesting here, Tyler Lyons, who has been in the rotation, now warming up in the pen. As Peralta pops it up. Overbay is there, one away. Check in with Jim Hayes, and Jimmy, we saw Randall Grichuk get that first ever major league hit.
I was down in John Mozeliak's box when it happened. We were just talking, and Mo had that laptop out that measures miles per hour off the bat, and Mo had a huge smile on his face. He wouldn't tell me what the miles per hour readout said. He just told me it was, quote, rarefied air. Mo says the ball jumps off Grichuk's bat as quickly as almost anyone, and Dan, the Cardinals are very, very excited about what Grichuk can do.
And he looks at a breaking ball again, just for folks that don't know. Grichuk, part of the David Freese deal, brought Peter Borges to St. Louis.
Oh, good changeup from Loesch.
You know, Jim mentioned something interesting there. The Cardinals look at hit speed, so the miles per hour of the baseball coming off the bat. We show that occasionally throughout the year with our telecasts.
That's become a very important thing. Of course, no contact there on that slider low and away, but go ahead, Dan.
Well, the Cardinals, for instance, Seth Maness has the same ground ball rate that he had a year ago. Okay, he's not having the same results. What they're finding, though, is that the hit rate against him, miles per hour, is up this year. So the ground balls that were being double plays last year now are turning into base hits.
Are finding holes predictably this year.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
So the Cardinals do use every little bit of data you can find, and it's an interesting way to look at it in the hit speed. I look at it and I say, wow, that's 107 miles an hour. My goodness, Tim, he hit that ball hard. That's about as far as I take it, but for the Cardinals in their front office, a little different look. 0-1 pitch to Ellis is taken for a ball, 1-1.
And I'm sure the Cardinals factor in, as all organizations do, the fact that it's not always the same. Not every fastball is the same. It can be 93 to 97, or much more movement with some than others.
1-2 the count.
A lot of that's subjective too. You know, it's not strictly objective. Machines have yet to be better than the eyes of people who've been around the game.
No question. Ellis is swing and a miss and a strikeout. And Kyle Loesch with 6 of them tonight. Lynn, because his spot did not come up, no scoring opportunity, still out there. Tyler Lyons, though, was throwing in the Cardinals' pen, and here is Herrera. Carpenter playing in at third. Adams a step or two, anticipating potential bunt. Here's a 1-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. 2, 3, and 4 in the lineup for Milwaukee here in the 5th. Lynn has struck out 4 and ran into problems as he gave up 3 runs in the 4th to tie it up. Fly ball, left field. Holiday, 1 away. So here's a look at the hit speed. And Tim, for those that didn't hear us last night, what did Red Shandies tell you about this young man?
Well, he talked about Grichuk and his observations in spring training, saying that the ball jumps off his bat like Ralph Kiner's balls hit the left field, jumped off his bat. And Red said, remember? I said, Ralph, I never played against Ralph Kiner, so I don't know, but when you lead the major leagues in home runs 7 years in a row, that's a pretty good indication that the ball jumps off your bat. Now, we're not saying that about Grichuk, that he's capable of doing that. But we are saying that hit 22 home runs last year, and he's got some pop.
Sure, for you coming back to St. Louis, one of the best parts is seeing Red Shandies.
Oh, Rojo. Numero dos. What a good man in every way.
John Mozeliak there in the bottom portion of your screen. John Booch, who has been with the club. He's sitting next to Red. He's been around various roles, now helping out with the minor leagues. 30 years. Ground ball that's hit to short. Peralta. Coming up here at the ballpark, Cardinals will take on the Atlanta Braves, and that's May 16th. And you have a chance to take home the replica championship trophy. Pictured there with Trevor Rosenthal and Matt Adams. Cardinals.com/promotions. Many thanks to Trevor Rosenthal, who was our speaker today as the Cardinals handed out $117,000 in grants to local kids charities, part of Cardinals Care. Uh-oh. Oh, over the shoulder.
What a recovery. They teach that at Slippery Rock.
Avoid the snow. And this is how you do it.
Oh, what a play.
3-3.
Oh.
Annual Billiken Golf Classic on May 5th. Support Billiken Athletics in this charity event. Details now at slewbillikens.com. So Lance Lynn is done for the night. Greg Garcia will pinch hit. He also made his major league debut last night. He's talking with Greg before the game. More times than not, a player will come up to a broadcaster and express their frustration and maybe how something was said. Greg came up to me last night, also wanted me to pass this along to you, and how thankful he was because Mom, Dad, Grandpa, who is now 90, we're all watching back home in San Diego.
Oh, how about that? Dave Garcia's grandfather. Known Dave for years.
Now it's Carpenter. And Greg told me a great story. He was the bat boy for Colorado when Dave was coaching out there. Bench clearing ball. And he said, I never have seen my grandpa move as fast as he did that day because I was going out to join the brawl because it looked like fun as the bat boy. And he said he tackled me, literally tackled me at Coors Field in the dugout. And said, son, you're going nowhere.
What was Greg's age at the time?
He said he was about 12 or 13. And Dave was coaching out there. Long-time baseball man. So congratulations to Greg to make it to the big leagues. To play both middle infield spots. And here's Matt Carpenter. And that's something the Cardinals will be doing too. Wong goes down to Memphis. He'll play second base. But Garcia was playing both shortstop for 2 days, second base for 3. And he was going to play third base. Hadn't happened yet, but they want him to get some repetition over there as well. Fill that utility need if it arises. 1-0 pitch to Matt Carpenter. Tyler Lyons, a lefty. So with the off day, Tim, Thursday should be the first one in quite some time, nearly 3 weeks. Lions scheduled to go Friday in Chicago. We'll have that game for you. So,
not if he pitches tonight.
Right.
Then perhaps Adam Wainwright would be the starter against the Cubs on Friday.
1-1. Carpenter rips it out to center. Gomez going back, and he makes the catch as that ball carried. And back to the bag goes Garcia after being hit by the pitch to lead things off in the home half of the 5th.
You've seen that play a bunch of times where center fielder gets fooled, doesn't know whether to go back or come in. Curt Flood used to talk about the bill of the cap. If you're a center fielder and you're wearing, obviously, as all center fielders do, the bill of the cap as Carlos is doing there. If the ball is below the bill of the cap, you charge. If the ball is above the bill of the cap, you go back. That ball was above the bill of the cap of Gomez, and he went back to make the play. It's a very interesting theory about how to play center field on balls hit right at you.
What a great player he was.
I asked John Jay about that last year in the postseason. I said, have you heard of that? He said, yes, I've heard of it, but it doesn't make enough sense for me to use it yet, to use that as a theory. I haven't talked to him about it since. But it's fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
Very simple. And Curt Flood, known for taking the first step toward free agency in the Players Union, but what is forgotten was that he was a terrific ball player.
Overshadowed an incredible career, how good he was.
He really did.
For you, having a chance to see him at the end of his life get back into baseball, how gratifying was that for you and some of the former teammates?
He died in 1997, but it was wonderful. I mean, I was in the trade with Curt to Philadelphia. I couldn't afford not to go. I told Curt, if you can afford it, man, you're surprising me.
I wonder, players from your era, if it's disappointing, and I'm not sure if that's the right word, but if you would go up to a modern-day player and ask them, do you know what Curt Flood did and how you have reaped the benefits, if they would say no, if that would bother players from that era?
I think 20 years ago that might have been the case. I don't think a lot of guys paid the proper respect to Curt Flood, but today I think they do. I think that's changed over the last decade or so.
Stepped foul by Craig. Fourth inning is the one that got Lance Lynn. 42 pitches. And Maldonado out to visit with Loesch. Not sure if you saw it, but it was on HBO. I think it was The Curious Case of Curt Flood.
Absolutely saw it.
Sensational.
Yes, it was.
But to see behind the scenes of those that witnessed it, to explain to fans now, younger generation, of what he went through, how baseball treated him, what it was like trying to get back in the game.
Blackballed.
Absolutely.
Curt Flood's number, by the way, number 21, same worn by Alan Craig.
Two and two the count. Garcia stands at the bag at first. Craig has walked and scored and grounded out to short. Hard hit ball. It pulls that foul. Two-two pitch to Alan Craig. Here it comes. You mentioned earlier, Tim, the difference throwing, pitching. We're seeing that in this at bat. With Loesch, it's been in, out, up.
Yeah.
See if he chase.
That was an important pitch, that 2-2 pitch, because now Garcia will be on the move and you have a contact hitter up there.
Popped up, right side. Overbay makes the catch, and back to the bag goes Garcia.
That's why it's important to pick up the ball and not depend on the second baseman or the shortstop to show you where it is. And that's why Garcia takes 3 steps and watches. See that look back? You don't depend on the guys at second base or shortstop, and Garcia knows that because that's where he plays. Don't try and trick me, guys. 3 steps, look back, find the ball, retreat to first.
Here's Holiday. 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a lineout. See, he had words with the home plate umpire his previous at bat. Garcia was saying, and you may remember the at bat last night, he eventually drew a walk. He said the first 2 pitches doesn't even remember. He said the only thing I was trying to do was control my breathing. He said I could not breathe. I couldn't catch my breath. I was so nervous. Here's a 1-0. Holiday off the end of the bat and a fly ball into right. Herrera makes the play, and we have played 5 here at Busch Stadium. Garcia hustling all the way. Like to see that. 3-3 game. since 1969 in the National League. The Brewers 10-1 comeback win last night. The Phillies of 76. Dodgers of 77. The Atlanta Braves back in 1994. We're tied up 3-3 in this ball game as Tyler Lyons is our Chevy called to the pen, and we've seen him used as a starter thus far this season. Now will come in relief.
And a starter only last season. He had 8 starts last season, so Tyler Lyons' first relief appearance for the St. Louis Cardinals. In the minor leagues, in 4 years, he had 4 relief appearances.
And this is something that is not foreign to him. And we were talking about Red earlier, his thoughts on Grichuk. Red loves Tyler Lyons. And see what you think of his stuff. I know you've had a chance to see him here and there, but
no, he's not a hard thrower, but I know he's got some savvy.
He does. And a strike underway here in the 6th.
I was incorrect when I said 4 relief appearances in the minors. He had many more than that.
Here's an 0-1 pitch. And that is strike 2. So you've got to figure now with the off day on Thursday, Adam Wainwright, see him go on Friday, normal day rest.
That, I believe, is a 1:20 Central Time start, right?
That is.
Chicago Cubs, one of the charms of Wrigley, having a Friday afternoon game. The only town that has them continuously.
Well, Tim is pumped about gardening night here at Busch Stadium. That'll be the 22nd, and the Diamondbacks will be here. Get a garden gnome. How about that? Garden gnome. Cardinals.com/theme. Gardening night coming up at the ballpark.
I don't have a green thumb, but I admire the end of things, the product, the finished product.
Here's Mark Reynolds. Shift is on for him, and it's fouled back. 1 ball and 1 strike. See, our director, Tom Mee, he doesn't miss a beat.
No, he doesn't.
A little changeup that drops in for his strike. 1-2. See, that's what it is right there. It's the left field wall. I was trying to figure out where he was getting that shot.
Yeah. Well, in baseball history, gardening has gone a long way. I remember Earl Weaver used to plant tomatoes in the bullpen at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. They were good. They were good too. He'd give them to anybody. I mean, anybody.
Hey, the bullpen at Shea, those guys would do it too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They had a nice little garden going out there.
Yeah.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Lyons. What you'll see here with Lyons, sometimes he'll have that little hump in the breaking ball.
Yeah, like that. That was a high breaking ball, not normally a good pitch. But for Tyler Lyons, you think he's so funky that hitters can't pick him up. If he were true, he'd be much easier to pick up. We talked about Francisco Rodriguez last night throwing everything at a hitter but the ball. In a sense, Tyler Lyons does that too.
2 outs, nobody on. A 1-1 pitch to Bianchi. Mixing in a good changeup so far too. The 1-2 on its way. Back to Lyons. Pair of strikeouts. Underhands to Adams.
Dan, how does your garden grow?
Not like that. Definitely not like that. The bottom of the 6th rolls in. As promised earlier in the game, this is the AT fan photo sent in. Not sure if that fan is happy or mad or both. The AT fan photo. The Sailors are taking it in.
All right.
It's Adams, Molina, Peralta for St. Louis. Really, the one mistake by Loesch was the home run in the first by Molina. Then it was a 42-pitch inning. Lance Lynn in the 4th. Milwaukee scored 3, and that's where we're at right now. 3-3, home half of the 6th. Shift on again here for Adams. One ball, one strike. One and two. Loesch has become one of those guys that is reliable every 5th day, doesn't miss starts. Every time out, chance to win, it seems like. There's a good breaking ball, gets Adams to chase.
How'd he get there? He got to 2 strikes with a fastball that Adams took and then got him out on a ball.
7 strikeouts for Kyle Loesch against his former team.
It was a curveball in the dirt, and Matt couldn't lay off.
It's also a sign of a good pitcher where you have issues in that first inning, but you're able to collect yourself. You don't let it get away.
Give your offense a chance to come back, tie the game. That's what Loesch has done.
Molina with that 3-run homer back in the first inning to give him 15 RBIs and his 4th home run this year. One ball, one strike. It was nice and easy, relaxed at the plate. Used to be the man of 1,000 stances. And that's a base hit into right center. First Cardinal hit since back in the 3rd.
Picked up on that. That is the stance of a confident hitter, of a guy who has hit 17 out of 18.
Talked about it last night, his ability to take it the other way. So Yadier Molina stands at first, and it brings in Peralta. That kid trying to hang in there. Hey, the offense isn't that bad. He's ready to go to sleep. Peralta changed that on Sunday with a couple of home runs.
Yeah.
As many off-speed pitches we've seen from Loesch. And again, he's not throwing all that hard. He's 91, 92 occasionally.
But he seems to be throwing harder.
Exactly.
All the off-speed stuff makes the fastball faster in the eyes, in the mind's eye.
1-1 the count.
So sometimes you can toss that radar gun in a pond somewhere when Loesch is pitching.
By the way, do you buy into the guns? Do you think guys are throwing this hard across the league?
I think so. I don't think anybody's juiced the guns up or anything like that. Yeah, I think they are.
1-1 pitch to Peralta.
Point is just pure velocity doesn't get hitters out. Velocity is ranked down on the list. Movement, location, change of speeds. You know, velocity is important if you throw over 100 miles an hour, but I mean, realistically, how many guys do that?
Yeah, just a handful.
Yeah.
As Peralta flies it down the right field line, slicing A good effort by Herrera comes up short.
That really was. That was a legitimate try right there. Some guys may do it for the fans. They may do it for the organization. Little false hustle. There's nothing false about this hustle.
We focus night in and night out. Cardinals had their rut offensively. Look across the board, though, at Major League Baseball. Everybody is down. Now,
no question about it.
The Rockies are hitting .295, but that's the Rockies. You got to consider the ballpark, home games.
Yep.
But after that, it's a dramatic drop. That's off the mound and a base hit into center. So after the strikeout of Adams, back-to-back singles for Molina and Peralta.
Shortstop playing Peralta to pull, Bianchi.
Starting to stretch now out in the bullpen of Milwaukee. There it is, the highest that he's hit tonight, 91. 72 the low. There's Randall Grichuk with runners at first and second. You watched the game Sunday. I'm not sure we're seeing Adam Wainwright, and this is quite the statement, pitch any better than he is right now. And we saw him pitches that were in the high 60s and then to the low to mid 90s. The variation of speeds. He's as locked in as we've ever seen.
That's why he has 25 consecutive scoreless innings to his credit, going into perhaps Friday's start.
0-2 the count. Wainwright already a 5-game winner. Grichuk with his first major league hit back in the second.
That was an interesting conversation between Wainwright and Carpenter. Hitters learn from pitchers, and pitchers learn from hitters, and you trade those things when you're teammates. Holiday getting a little chunk of it too.
Wainwright.
That's absolutely true, though. The hitters learn from pitchers, and the pitchers learn from hitters.
Wainwright said that Scott Moore, who is at Memphis now but has seen big league action, was shocked this spring at how much this happens with this particular team. And I'm sure you've been around ball clubs where that isn't necessarily the case.
Yeah, both ways.
Breaking ball and a strikeout. 8 tonight for Kyle Loesch.
Yeah, what happens on a ball like that? That was not a good curveball from Loesch. He knows he got away with one. But a hitter sees that pitch, looks like it's going to break away, and it just hangs in that inside zone. It's a hanging curveball that was very effective for Loesch.
Now it's Ellis. Dealt with a knee injury all spring. Now asked to play every day. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Struck out in the 4th. He's flied out to left. Cardinals bring John Jay to the on-deck circle. That spot comes up. There's strike one. I enjoy watching guys like Loesch pitch.
Oh, yeah.
Craft.
He can carve you up. And as you said, Adam Wainwright, the way he's pitching right now, with much better stuff than Loesch. It's a lot tougher for Kyle than it is for Adam.
Adam was saying the other day that and you can really speak to this, calling games behind the plate, but he said that the chess match has become the fun part of the game. The adjustment from pitch to pitch, at bat to at bat. So when you first come up, you don't really necessarily think in those terms. Your ability, and for him at that point, great curveball, fastball in the mid-90s, but now in his mind, it's the chess match that he loves. Loesch, by the way, is due up second for Ron Renicki's club, looking ahead to the top of the 7th. 1-2 on Mark Ellis. And he struck him out. Strikes out the side. 9 tonight for Kyle Loesch. But we're tied up 3-3. Looks like the night is through for Kyle Loesch, getting the handshakes. Again, he gave up that early home run to Yadier Molina, 3-run shot. After that, he settled in. Struck out 9 tonight. His spot is due up second. And there's a look at Tyler Lyons, second inning of work. Had a pair of strikeouts and a ground out. First inning of work in the 6th. And Tim, here's a look at that delivery you spoke of with Tyler Lyons.
That high leg kick with the front leg is very, very deceptive. Usually a guy with a high leg kick like that, hitters think, boy, he's going to throw the ball by me. But Tyler Lyons is not a hard thrower. In the low 90s, late 80s, breaking ball. But hitters refer to him as funky, and he's all of that.
Showing bunt, pulling back, taking a strike is Maldonado.
We talked about it last night, Dan. It's almost like a hitter swings at the legs of a pitcher instead of the ball. It's hard to wait for the ball to come out of his hand, and waiting is essential to be a good hitter.
Ricky Weeks has moved to the on-deck circle. Loesch's night is through, and that breaking ball drops in for strike 2. Lyons in both his starts very effective early on. One bad inning would catch up with him, and that would be just about it. Cardinals have been very pleased with the way he's pitched.
Yeah, he's the type of pitcher that a hitter has to see more than once to be successful against him. There's a rhythm and a flow to getting used to a guy like Tyler Lyons.
So having said that, again, a game of adjustments, but do you see a role where he could fit in the bullpen because he is so good first time through, and that has been the case.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, his record doesn't show it, but he's pitched well all 3 times, including tonight. 2 starts and his first relief appearance of the season. Plus, he's left-handed. Left-handers, as Pete Rose used to say all the time, if you were right-handed, you wouldn't be in the big leagues. Now, I'm not saying that about Tyler Lyons, but left-handers get away with less.
Strikeout, that's 3 of 4 he has struck out tonight.
Good fastball to freeze Maldonado. I said that once in front of Sandy Koufax, that left-handers get away with less, and he said, Are you talking about me? I said, no, Sandy.
Right.
No.
In general.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, we're talking generalities.
Right.
Come on. Sandy, easy.
I think it's wonderful, by the way, that he's back with the Dodgers.
Oh, I do too. What a gentleman. He is genuinely baseball royalty.
Absolutely. Not a bad lefty out there right now either, Clayton Kershaw.
Ooh.
Talk of him making 1 or 2 rehab starts and then being back in that rotation. Ricky Weeks at the plate, 1 ball and 1 strike. So the night for Loesch is through. They have 3 lefties in the pen for Milwaukee. They've got a lefty warming up right now. No activity for the Cardinals in their pen. The 1-1.
Happen to notice Matt Carpenter on the line at third base. I mean, all the elements prove that a guy like Ricky Weeks is more apt to pull the breaking ball down and in. You don't have a hard thrower, so you're going to try to prevent the double in the 7th inning. Outfield straight away, infield straight away, with the exception of Carpenter. 2 steps toward the line.
3-1 pitch. The fly ball lifted out to center. Grichuk. 2 down. So good work thus far by Lions. 5 up and 5 down.
You know, when you think about it, defensive positioning in baseball is preparing for something that rarely happens.
You're exactly right.
But that's anticipation. That's why all infielders, there's Chris Maloney in charge of that. That's why all infielders anticipate every ball being hit to them. Is that going to be the case? Of course not.
There are some late innings that will always guard the line. There are others that say, well, like you're talking about, percentages will tell you that you don't necessarily need to be where Matt Carpenter is here. That's guarding the line. It's also playing in with the speed of Gomez.
What you're saying is that you're making the offense get 3 hits instead of 1.
Out to deep left, and Carlos Gomez has just put Milwaukee on top.
And nobody plays out there. That fastball inside, and Gomez catches up to it. Home run number 6 on the year for Gomez.
Worth repeating. Braun, Segura, Ramirez, Lucroy. Your key, one of them was watching Gomez, focusing on him. There's a base hit to left by Herrera. Well, in this case, Gomez puts Milwaukee on top. First base hit for the second place hitter, Herrera, and it brings in Scooter Gennett. Let's take you back to the home run.
That was a fastball inside. Gomez talked about, well, I thought it was inside. It was not inside. It was over the middle of the plate. And Gomez took care of the rest.
Scooter Gennett singled, scored back in the 4th. He's grounded out to short, also lined out to left. When scoring 4 or more runs, magic number for either team so far this year. Milwaukee 16-0, the Cardinals 11-0. Cardinals will have Lions spot due up. So pinch hitter, then Carpenter and Craig. Still a long ways to go in this ball game tonight. Right-hander begins to loosen for St. Louis. That pitch up and in. But breaking ball, 1 ball, 1 strike. You can see why there is an upside here with Tyler Lyons in his stuff.
Oh, sure. I mean, guys are going to hit balls out of the ballpark. That's going to happen. These are big league hitters.
Late break on his breaking ball. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike on Scooter Gennett. Neshek is throwing in the pen for St. Louis. Another throw over. Ron Renneke, what a job he's done. Last year, the team was decimated with injuries. Guided Milwaukee to the NLCS against St. Louis back in 2011. There's a fly ball out to center, tailing back to Grichuk. It's time to stretch. And Carlos Gomez has put Milwaukee on top for the first time tonight. The Milwaukee leadoff man already with 6 home runs. He had 24 a year ago. Ballpark Village. Book a room right now. Make your reservations at HiltonSt.Louis.com or call 314-421-1776. We saw him last night, the lefty that was part of the Aoki deal with Kansas City. Chevy called to the pen, Will Smith, and he looked very good last night.
Faced 2 left-handed batters, Matt Carpenter and John Jay, struck them both out. Good breaking balls. So Mike Matheny is going to send up Peter Borges, and the Cardinals would love to have him do something from an offensive standpoint that could give him a little confidence. Right now he is really struggling through April.
Tough play last night with the bunt attempt. Wheel play was on defensively. It turned into a frustrating night for St. Louis after getting the leadoff man on, which was Holiday. Couldn't bunt him over to third. Then Borges eventually left stranded. So 4-3 Milwaukee. As Tim told you, Borges' numbers not pretty to start this season. 160 with a pair of RBIs. Corners are in. Outfield, they play very deep. The bullpen of Milwaukee, opponents are hitting 195 against this Brewers pen. That's lowest in the major leagues. The ERA of their bullpen is 2.18, and that is third best in all of baseball.
3 left-handed pitchers in the bullpen, 4 right-handed, and all are different, and that makes a difference too. They all have different ways of getting you out.
They say that Smith is sneaky fast with his delivery, and I think we saw that last night. He had a couple of strikeouts and was hitting 93 to 95 on the gun a couple of times. Borges 0-2 is the count, and a check swing, and did not go. Crowd tonight of 40,531. 40531. There's a look at those bullpen ERAs. On 1-2. Borges, another check swing. He stays alive, and it's 2-2. Early start tomorrow, the day game. You see what Peter had done through this time last year, and then eventually wrist injury curtailed his season. I think that is part of the equation. There's a lot of factors when you look at Borges. You're switching leagues. They made a trade for you. They want you. You're trying to justify a deal, which is always something that you think about. But we haven't really talked all that much about the fact that the last 2 years he's been injured, hasn't had a lot of playing time. Is the wrist injury affecting him at all?
Good at bat right there after having an 0-2 count, getting 4 straight balls. Well, the one thing that happens when you're traded, the first time in particular, you've got to understand, and it's very difficult to do, that the new organization is going to be more impatient with you than your home organization. That's why it's incumbent upon you to get off to a good start, because if you don't, they haven't seen you come up through the minor leagues. They're not patient in watching you develop. They don't have the same pride as your home organization had in watching you develop. So therefore, you've got to produce more immediately. And unfortunately for Borges, he hasn't done that yet.
That's a good point. Now, he does have something that you can't teach: speed.
That's correct.
In a game that at times it seems like now Major League Baseball going more and more towards speed, and we're through the steroid era.
Right.
Premium put on guys that can steal bases.
Sure.
Play defense. Known for his glove as well. Long look and an 0-1. Ground ball slowly hit. Borges hustling to second, and he is out. Boy, he was flying into second base.
Neighborhood play, remember, is not reviewable. But did Borges, was he able to touch second base on the slide? It was very close. That was very close. One more look from a better angle. Yeah, he was. No, it was not close. Good takeout slide by Borges.
And we emphasize that now, takeout slide, because it's just not prevalent, nearly as prevalent as what it was, say, even 10 years ago. We had Hal McRae as a hitting coach here in St. Louis.
He was as tough as they came with him.
How about the way he went into second?
Oh, man. Like a barrel rolling to you.
You got it.
Whew. Plus, he was fast, and he could get there. A lot of guys are tough sliders around the bag at second base, but they're not fast enough to get there in time. Shortstop, second baseman has a chance to release the ball before they do.
0-1, slicing down the right field line. That ball is fair, and it stays in play. Cardinals catch a break. Carpenter will score, and Craig is on his way to third. As the ball finally gets its way back in, and Alan Craig has tied this game up at 4.
That was a great call, Dan, because the key play on that is that ball stayed in the ballpark, hitting the top of the fence. Herrera tried to make the play. I think if he If he stays back, that's a tough ball going away from him. And that dive, as Carpenter is watching, he's going to score easily. And a rare triple for Alan Craig. And Herrera threw the ball right in the ground when he picked it up. Might have been wet, I don't know. Certainly one thing is clear. Herrera does not have pine tar on his right hand.
Check the neck. Go to the neck.
You'll see no 10-day suspension for Herrera.
Well, you don't see this very often, do you? I mean, that is straight down. Look at the reaction. Oh! Infield in for Holiday. He can put the Cardinals back on top. That's ball one.
Alan Craig will make the ball go through at third base. He's not a fast runner. The infield in, there's simply nothing you can do but make it go through, even with the best of jumps. And now Jose Oquendo went over to him and said, get off a little farther. He was off farther there. I just can't imagine that he'll be going in. But keep in mind also that Matt Adams is the on-deck batter. So if you don't score that run, then you've got the left-hander going against Adams.
And you're pitching around Holiday here. Maldonado setting up about a foot outside, and now they're just going to put him on.
Yeah, I think that makes sense from a Brewers standpoint.
PJC Healthcare difference maker is Holiday. So they'll intentionally walk Holiday here, and a chance for Matt Adams, who has had a tough couple of nights. But Adams has changed that in this ballgame. Came in, he was replaced last night. You can see the reaction. He was frustrated, was hitless, but tonight, double, single, struck out in the sixth. 125 with runners in scoring position. The triple by Craig. Holiday walks in a 4-4 game here in the seventh. This situation, Tim, does he see anything straight, or is it just slider after slider?
I don't know. And I don't think he knows.
See 167 against lefties.
I think it's going to be slider, slider, slider. I don't think he's going to get a fastball. Not after that reaction.
No. This is something that he really worked on in the offseason. Actually had a pitching machine designed to throw what would be a lefty breaking ball at his house. Let's see if that practice pays off here. The 0-2 strikes out.
That is a wicked at bat by Matt Adams in favor of the Brewers. Boy, I'll tell you, you got a lot of left-handers in the major leagues who would have looked like Matt Adams in that at bat. 3 straight sliders to get him. The teaser was the first one was a strike, and then he went out of the strike zone. So he got ahead with strikes, got him out with balls.
333 with runners in scoring position for Yadier Molina. A 2-hit night. A 3-run homer back in the first. Single to right center back in the sixth. Runners at the corners with 2 down. A check swing, and apparently he went, says Dan Bellino.
Hey, he went too far. Molina does not agree with first base umpire Dan Bellino, but it looked to me like he went. Four straight sliders from Smith. Puts a lot of pressure on Maldonado as far as wild pitches are concerned. These are tough pitches.
Again, 0-2.
Five straight.
Oh-2 pitch. Just got a piece. At some point, if you're Molina, you're thinking, well, would he try to sneak one by me with a fastball?
I don't think so. I think he's been so successful with that sliders, and both Adams and Molina have looked so poorly at the plate. I mean, the hitter's already set up. There's no setting up a hitter here. You just go with your best pitch. It's devastating thus far. 6 in a row. But he went with the fastball.
Strikeout of Molina. Back-to-back Ks with the game on the line.
That's impressive.
Baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. Let's go to our studio across the street and a Bommarito Sports Update with Pat Paris. Pat. Pat, thank you. Chevy called to the pen, takes us to Pat Neshek. Came into the ball game last night, got a key strikeout, then had 2 strikes on Aramis Ramirez with the bases loaded. Cardinals leading 3-2. What's next? Oh, we would hit him. Tie ball game. Cardinals lose it in extra innings. Mazda game summary. Let's take a look. 7 hits aside, no errors, 4-4 game. Loesch, 6 innings, the 9 strikeouts. Carlos Gomez, a solo home run to put up a lead for the first time in Game 2 for Milwaukee. Lance Lynn, 5 innings. Molina, 3-run shot back in the first. You think about stars in the game today, and one that is developing, if not already, Jose Fernandez of Miami. Boy, is he fun to watch.
He is among the top 5 best pitchers in the game, I think.
Right now.
Maybe the top 3.
Was Chris Davis. We saw him a lot in spring training. Just filthy stuff. And he pitches with a flair. He's got a personality out there. And
yes, he does. Rookie of the Year last year in the National League.
Made the All-Star game. Nothing in 2 on Davis. Fly ball to center. 1 away. All-Star game this year in Minnesota.
Target Field.
Some chilly nights in April in old Target Field.
Oh, yeah. Oof. Something the Twins did not experience for years with the Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis. But they're experiencing them now.
Oof. They had a game, Tim, about 2 weeks ago. Grounds crew was out getting the ice off the outfield.
I remember seeing the footage of that. My gosh. And played the game.
Now, here's the deal. I love baseball. I'm a fanatic.
But you don't like ice.
I don't like ice. I don't know if I'd go sit through 9 innings of a major league game when it's 30 degrees out.
A little tough. I wonder if pine tar was allowed in that game.
It better be. A high fly ball to left. Overbay is out number 2. Brings in the third baseman Reynolds. Reynolds has doubled, walked and scored, part of a 3-run fourth, and struck out in the 6th. All right, speed of the game. That drops in for a ball. That angle right there. You know, we're up here. You played this game 20 plus years. Looks easy from up here. Easy on TV. You get this view, you see the speed, movement. That baseball is on you lickety split.
Yeah, it really is.
That sinking action.
Yeah, one of the myths about baseball is that it's a slow game, slow to watch, tedious. Get a feel level and see how fast it is and how fast things have to be turned, like double plays, catcher's reactions, first baseman digging balls out of the dirt, infielders going laterally, and then the speed of the outfielders. Guys like Carlos Gomez.
1-2 is fouled back. Pat Neshek, an avid collector of baseball cards.
Has 2 Mickey Mantle rookie cards. Got to be worth a fortune.
And his 1970 set. It's a full, complete set. It ranks a 9.3 on a scale of 10.
Wow. Wow.
Now, I know you love it when fans would wait outside a hotel for that Tim McCarver autograph.
Not many.
And Pat Neshek used to be one of those guys. So he had a college roommate that would collect autographs. The roommate says...
What college did he attend?
He was a Butler Bulldog.
Butler Bulldog in Indianapolis.
Correct.
Right.
And so his roommate would go collect autographs, and Pat Neshek said, well, I'll join you. And so it began. And this thing is taken off with not only autographs, but his baseball card collection that he has.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting guy. You see the unique delivery that he's got, which developed when he was an all-state shortstop. He was hit on the forearm. He gets a strikeout of Reynolds, and he's done a very nice job so far wearing the birds on the bat. Reynolds strikes out for the second time. 4-4 midway through 8. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Tim McCarver, Dan McLaughlin with you on a cool night here in the Gateway City. Jim Hayes as well. And Johnny Peralta leads it off. Peralta tonight struck out, popped out, singled. Second time in this series we've seen the former closer Jim Henderson in our Chevy called to the pen. Henderson lost his job to Francisco Rodriguez. Still trying to figure out day to day if that velocity will be there. It's been up and down so far early this season as Peralta greets him with a base hit. Two-hit night for the Cardinals shortstop.
You know what's rare? As Peralta opens the 8th inning with a base hit, what is rare is for a guy to be a closer with a ball club and then be a reliever of another ilk with the same club. They may go to another club and be in the bullpen. A guy like Francisco Rodriguez that's bounced around all over the place. But rarely will the same team keep him and use him in middle relief. Because if he were good enough, he'd still be the closer, right, one would think.
Now it's Randall Grichuk.
Swinging.
Grichuk has struck out twice and singled back in the second inning. 12 innings last night. The relievers used 6 by Milwaukee, 5 for St. Louis. The Cardinals with a lefty up right now, and I believe that is Segrist. See how Mike Matheny, Tim wants to play this leadoff hit. Rookie at the plate. 4-4 game here in the bottom of the 8th. Lots of options for him.
Maybe Mike decided to give him the green light on the first pitch, knowing it'd get a fastball. We'll see if he sticks with that strategy.
He's swinging, and it's a double play. 4, 6, 3, double play.
And what are you going to do? I mean, he hit a rocket to second base, double play.
So Henderson gets 2, and now it's Mark Ellis. StubHub, a reminder that Homer Road, you can see Cardinals baseball by heading to StubHub. They have fan rewards and 2% back in fan rewards on every purchase. StubHub, your ticket to upgrades and more.
The reason I say that, it makes more sense in a situation like that to swing the bat because you've got the bottom part of the lineup. You've got Mark Ellis there against a tough right-hander, and you've got the pitcher spot hitting next. If you've got the middle of the lineup coming up, then Grichuk would probably be asked to bunt. But that, I'm sure, is the reasoning behind Mike Matheny's allowing him to swing away there. And he hits the ball hard, but a tailor-made double play, 4-6-3.
So 1 ball, 1 strike. Ellis has struck out twice tonight and has also flied to left. John Jay has moved to the on-deck circle. He would be the pinch hitter for Neshek. 2-1. Long night of baseball in game 1, 12 innings. And we're knotted at 4-4 here in the home half of the 8th. Ellis hits it down the left field line but pulls it foul. 2-2. Ellis had the knee injury in spring. He's 36. Played sparingly the first week as they try to work him back. Not much of a rehab assignment. Went to Memphis, played in 1 game. Next game was rained out. He was back in the big leagues. Oof. 3-2. fastball, and they blew it by him. So strikeout of Ellis. Good work by Henderson. Sends us to the 9th. Leadoff base hit. Erased on the double play, and a strikeout of Ellis. 4-4 after 8. Is presented by the authority of the Cardinals, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. And that was time number 5,142 that Tim McCarver has heard that in a telecast. Keeping track at home.
I just enjoy hearing the word disseminated because I never hear it anywhere else.
Ever. The 0-2 to Bianchi and a strikeout. Good work here by Neshek. We were talking earlier how Milwaukee has guys that give you that different look, and there's no question with this delivery. I don't care who you have out in the bullpen, it's nothing like this that you see from Neshek.
No, nobody in baseball gives you the look that Pat gives the Milwaukee hitters.
So he has struck out 2, 4 up, 4 down. Martin Maldonado. Late innings, mentioned the bullpen issues the Cardinals may have with, if it got to that point, Rosenthal, Martinez having a workload that's piled up here recently. Then you also think for Ron Renneke, what can he do with his bench? Who's available? Can I get an at-bat from Ryan Braun?
I think that's a more salient point than thinking about the Cardinals bullpen, because that's way down the road if the game goes 14, 15 innings,
exactly.
I would think. But that's the uphill battle the Brewers have with the, in essence, a 22-man roster.
1 ball, 1 strike. I'm not sure I believe it, but Pat Neshek, when he was hit by the pitch as a shortstop, said he developed this delivery and didn't even realize he was throwing like this. So he got out on the mound. He was also a pitcher, clearly. He used to throw normally overhand. And he said all of a sudden he's doing this. Now, Tim, can you tell me how that happens? Playing catch, quote unquote, normally, and then having this delivery.
Some guys are pressed into a delivery like this. The ex-Cardinal, ex-Atlanta Brave Joe Horner had a heart murmur and used to throw on top with his fastball and had to drop down. Otherwise, it would have been damaging to his health. And I guess in essence, that's what's happened to to Pat.
And Pat was telling me he came off the field and guys are saying, what is going on? And that's Gene Segura, the shortstop, dealing with the facial injury, dropping down the bunt. Great work by Neshek and a chance to win it for the Cardinals when we come back. Cardinals have a pinch hitter, then the top of the lineup. Get you caught up with our Nissan drive of the game, Yadier Molina. And that was back in the first inning. A 3-run homer off his former battery mate, Kyle Loesch. The Nissan drive of the game. Tyler Thornburg, our Chevy, called to the pen.
In last night's game, and again, the Brewers giving up only one earned run to the Cardinals over the last 2 nights. With that bullpen, boy, they are tough.
You talk to any GM in baseball, and they always say from year to year, you just don't know what you're going to get from your bullpen and how much it changes over the course of the 6 months of a regular season.
And that could well be the difference between being successful and unsuccessful because of pitch counts and because of the care that most organizations take with starting pitchers. It's bullpen by demand if you expect to be a contender.
Thornburg and Jay faced each other 4 times, and John is 1 for 4. Off speed pitch and a strike. They have gotten great mileage re-signing K-Rod, who's perfect in that save department, but Kinsler and Thornburg from the right side have just been lights out. 0-2. The 0-2. Trying to climb the ladder, and a high strike on Jay. 3 pitches and a strikeout. Big day tomorrow here at the ballpark as the team will announce its Hall of Fame class for 2014, and we'll have it for you live on Fox Sports Midwest. Cardinals Hall of Fame presented by Edward Jones. Fans were voting in. Wouldn't be shocked to see a Willie McGee on there, maybe a Jim Edmonds. That pitch taken high by Carpenter, who struck out twice. He's flied out and grounded out. Carpenter rips it foul. Pretty amazing season last year. Only one player in the history of baseball led the major league in hits while playing 100 games at one infield position. Then the next year, 100 games at another. The other to do that, Johnny Pesky. was back in the late 40s with the Boston Red Sox.
Johnny with the right field pole named after him at Fenway Park.
The 2-1 pitch. Upstairs to Carpenter. This is where Carpenter can drive the opponent absolutely crazy. Not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. He'll hit deep into a count. His at bat against the aforementioned Clayton Kershaw, really the difference in that clinching game against the Dodgers, the League Championship Series. 3-2. At least I haven't heard it, but Matt said to me last year, I prefer to hit with 2 strikes. I don't hear that very often from hitters. But he said, I like it.
I don't know if I've ever heard it. Maybe Tony Gwynn, who says he doesn't mind it, but not prefer it.
And Carpenter strikes out. So Thornburg comes back to get him. Back-to-back Ks to start the bottom of the ninth.
Thornburg falling behind and then throwing a predictable pitch to a good hitter to get Matt Carpenter.
Here's Alan Craig. A triple to tie the ball game back in the 7th. Does have a home run against this right-hander. Strike 1, a late swing by Craig.
All 3 hitters, curveball on the first pitch. Curveball to Jay, curveball to Carpenter. And then fastballs thereafter. We'll see how he goes after Craig.
The 0-1. Fastball, couple of hops, hit 2 short. Extra innings, here we go again. We bring McCarver in for a few telecasts and
my fault.
Extend the fun. Martinez and the lefty Kevin Segrist, our Chevy call to the pen, burst onto the scene last year, and it was about this time the Cardinals asked him to move from the rotation in the minor leagues to the bullpen, moved him to the side of the rubber that you see here, which is the third base side, and everything just started falling into place. So much so that he was perfect in terms of not allowing a run at Busch Stadium last year in regular season play.
And not allowing a home run to any left-handed hitter until David Ortiz hit one against him in the World Series.
You had to remind me.
Well, there was nobody going to get David Ortiz out. No pitcher on earth last year during the World Series.
Unbelievable.
A hitting machine.
So top of the lineup Gomez, who is homered tonight. That point put Milwaukee on top 4-3. Craig came back with an RBI triple to tie it up. I think every at bat so far against the Cardinals this year, Carlos Gomez has swung at the first pitch. Now he is #1 in that category in all of baseball. Quickly, no balls and 2 strikes.
Tried to bunt again after that home run. He had a bunt base hit that proved to be a very, very important hit last night in the 7th inning of that game. Led to the Brewers tying that game at 3-3.
The 0-2. Segrist, the free and easy motion, kind of rocks back, then just explodes to the plate. He's consistently, Tim, 95, 96. Good slider. Very valuable. Strikeout of Gomez.
Price of natural gas has gone up. That is some heat right there.
Your time being around the Cardinals, you ever seen anything like this? The amount of young arms that have come up?
No,
power
I
arms?
haven't. No. We talked about that in our 1 inning in spring training.
A fly ball to right, 2 away.
Just overwhelming power.
And it's not just here in St. Louis. It's league-wide. I was talking with Matt Holliday about a week ago, and he said the thing that's really changed even for him, and he just celebrated the 10th anniversary of him breaking into the league, and he said at that point in time you had a guy or two that was later in their careers that was throwing 88 to 90, and he said occasionally you'd see the kid that's 23, 24 come up that's throwing
95.
Exactly.
Maybe.
And he said now it's commonplace. He said now you see that 22-year-old kid, and it's not just one, but it's 2 or 3, and it's a lefty like this. Just an amazing surge of power arms across Major League Baseball.
We talked about it briefly in the early innings. I mean, this lack of power with the Cardinals, with the Brewers, with everybody. It's epidemic in baseball.
And I'm not sure if it's a combination, or maybe it is, of the power arms, the early weather, a lot of cold throughout the United States.
I don't put much credence in that.
Than the cold.
No. I do put a lot of credence in the fact that these guys are, and I certainly agree with Matt, I mean, these guys are just coming out of nowhere and throwing hard, harder, and hardest.
Scooter Gennett at the plate, 1 ball and 2 strikes. On the inside corner. Middle of the lineup coming up for St. Louis, and it all starts with Holliday when we come back. 4-4 midway through 10. Off of Tyler Lyons, a home run that made it 4-3 in favor of the Brewers. And Gomez, for a leadoff man, exceptional power, his 6th home run. Cardinals come back with Craig. With Matt Carpenter at first, Herrera went for it and got burned. Carpenter would score. That tied it up. Craig did not advance after that unique throw back into the infield. Does this surprise you a little bit, Tim, the extra innings record for St. Louis?
With the success of the Cardinals over the past several years, I mean the 2011 World Series champions, and then going 7 games against the Giants in the NLCS in 2012, and then again a great year last year in the World Series, losing to the Red Sox, and yet they're 8 games under 500 in extra inning games with their bullpen.
Surprising.
Yeah.
Thornburg is 2nd inning of work, and he'll get Holiday, who has struck out. He has walked, and twice he has fly to right. Big gap in left center. The 0-1. The previous inning, you pointed out the curveball early in counts, and right now he's gone fastball here with Holiday. 2-1. Most career home runs against an opponent, and against Milwaukee, Holiday's done some damage. 22. 2-2. Mac came over in 2009 in what has turned out to be a very good deal for the St. Louis Cardinals. Brett Wallace was part of that deal, who has just been released by Houston. A couple players that have not been part of big league clubs currently. The 2-2.
I think one of the oddest deals was what got him to Oakland in the first place. How did that happen? Very unusual for Billy Beane, the general manager of the Athletics, to sign a big name player.
One of those players going back, Cargo.
Yeah, that's true.
The 2-2.
Houston Street also part of that deal. But you know, there's a franchise and a ball club. You talk about an exciting team.
Fun to watch.
They are fun, and their fan base is fun. I mean, those people get after it in Oakland. I mean, the baseball crowd's almost like a Raider crowd.
Right. The 2-2. Holiday hits it out to center. And Gomez with enough room on the track.
That ball getting just in on the hands of Matt Holiday. Just didn't extend it quite enough. But again, that's clearly why the outfield plays so deep in late innings of a tie game or extra innings of a tie game. No doubles defense.
Last home run for Adams was back on the 12th against the Cubs. And that's his only home run.
There's that curveball first pitch for a strike again.
Adams has doubled and scored. He has singled to right, then back-to-back strikeouts. The changeup. 0-2. A's, by the way, win again. They beat Texas 9-3. They're now 17-10. See the shift for Matt Adams. A 1-2 delivery. Seeing the changeup, breaking ball, fastball, mid-90s. See what he comes with here. Got him. Off-speed pitch. Strikeout of Adams.
Another curveball to get Matt Adams.
It's now 15 strikeouts of the Cardinals.
Yeah, 15. I was just checking that on my scorecard. Brother.
Two outs. Yadier Molina chased a pitch up. Molina got it all started for St. Louis back in the first. 3-run homer. That was off a Loesch. Grounded into a fielder's choice. Singled to right center and struck out in the 7th. Tell you what, this Brewers bullpen is for real.
Those are two fastballs. He just blew right by Yadier Molina. One of the hotter hitters in the National League.
1-2.
Oof. That was a hanger. And that was a mistake that was fouled back. During the course of a game, during the course of a season, you'd be amazed at how many hangers are fouled back. Not every pitch hit out of the ballpark's a good pitch or a hanger. And not every good pitch gets a guy out. Pop-up hangers, it's the nuance of the game. I mean, you're not talking about the odds, but that last one he got away with.
1-2 pitch. Misses in. 2-2. The conversation, one catcher to another. At the plate. And that's fouled back. They're still talking. A 2-2. Good at bat here by Molina. Outstanding at bat. That's a tough pitch.
Yeah, went with the breaking ball to try to get Yadier Molina. 3-2 curveball, and Molina took it. That was great at bat. It really was. You never would have thought it was going to happen, though, after those first two pitches.
0-2.
I mean.
Now you get Peralta's 2 for 4, couple of singles. He struck out and popped out. The outfield is about as deep as you can get.
Almost need a ticket. It's so deep.
The right fielder, Herrera, is about 2 steps away from the track. Nearly out of your picture.
Arch deep.
All kinds of room to that right side. Oof. 0-2. Peralta with 3 career walk-off home runs. Climb the ladder again. Let's see if they can get him to chase. Spoils the pitch. See Martin Maldonado, Tim. You get 2 strikes on Peralta, had 2 strikes on Molina. Thornburg is throwing mid-90s, trying to elevate it, get him to chase, and send us to the 11th. One and 2.
The way both these bullpens are throwing now, you get the feeling that either an error or a wild pitch or something like that's going to decide the outcome of this game.
Breaking ball, and he froze him.
Not hitting.
16 strikeouts for the Cardinals lineup tonight. Link's beef jerky. Feed your wild side. This bullpen of Milwaukee has been sensational.
Man, I'll say. 16 strikeouts for the Cardinals, 12 for the Brewers. That's 28 strikeouts in this game.
Smith, Henderson, Thornburg. After a very good outing by Kyle Loesch. One mistake was that home run to Molina that he gave up. And now it's a second inning of work for Kevin Segrist.
Little quick math. 10 innings, 30 at-bats per team, or 30 outs per team, 28 strikeouts. Almost half the guys have gone down on Ks tonight.
And a fastball that's taken high. Chris Davis. Kind of leads into what we were talking about. The power pitching, the strikeouts league wide are up.
Oh, yeah.
And team averages hovering around 245, 250. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kevin Segrist, born and raised early childhood in Buffalo.
Buffalo Sabres fan, right?
You got it. Moved to Florida. As Davis pops it up, Molina will give chase. That's out of play. Long game 1, now a long game 2, and you know a thing or two about this. Extra innings, it's still having to get after it.
Yeah, that's why all things point to Tony Cruz starting tomorrow's game.
That's a base hit down into the corner, and Chris Davis, who was one of the heroes last night in game number 1, on his way to second and represents the go-ahead run for Milwaukee.
Davis catching up to one of those high fastballs and drills it down the left field line. Even though the outfield for the Cardinals was deep, no way to prevent that double by Chris Davis. Hitting hero last night, excuse me, Dan, after striking out 4 times, the triple for the game-winning hit.
And here tonight, struck out, was 0 for 4, picks up a double. Sometimes it's when you get those hits.
Yeah. Might see a bunt here or a bunt attempt.
Overbay is bunting. I'm sure in his career, not many times has he been asked to do this. Middle of the order type hitter, primarily in his career. He's batting in the lineup 5th for Milwaukee and Ron Renneke. K-Rod starts to throw in the pen for Milwaukee. Mentioned earlier, the Cardinals have won 7 consecutive series against Milwaukee dating back to 2012, their longest active streak in baseball. Byproduct of the long game is the fact that K-Rod had a long final inning last night. And you always wonder about the effect that could have the following night if he's asked to come in and close this game out. But Overbay right now can't advance Davis. 2 strikes, 1 and 2.
How many times in baseball do you see now guys asked to bunt and to immediately run the count to 1 and 2 or 0 and 2 and get in a situation where they're in the hole? Talk about a dying art. Bunting's one of them.
Up the middle, and there it is, off the glove of Ellis into center. Here comes Davis. Milwaukee has a lead 5-4 here in the 11th. What were you just saying?
I mean, Overbay, a slight smile, and you got to certainly understand that smile. Worst 2 bunt attempts imaginable, and then a breaking ball. These are actually the bunt attempts. That's the first one, and it was a fastball, grounded up the middle. Big hit for Overbay, and the Brewers take the lead for the 2nd time in this game.
Now it's Reynolds. That's fouled back. The Cardinals have Grichuk, Ellis, and a pinch hitter coming up in the bottom of the 11th. From the Brewers side of things, you talk about early season, making a statement, gaining confidence. You're going
any way you want to put it.
Right.
Whatever it is.
If they hold on and win tonight, it's coming from behind. There's a high fly ball. Left center. Catch made by Grichuk. Overbay back to the bag at first, but you're talking about, we mentioned it, a depleted bench and lineup.
Playing a team on the road.
That has dominated the Central, dominated you for 7 consecutive series. So the Milwaukee Brewers have done something before we turn the calendar to May that they've never done, and a chance at win number 20 tonight to go to 13 games above 500 if they hold on. Bobbled by Carpenter, the turn by Ellis, safe at first, and the exchange, Carpenter at third, the extra step, and the missed double play.
And the bobble, too. Hitting the end of the glove, and then even though Matt recovered in time, too late to go around the horn. There's the bobble, picks it up immediately, but was not a high throw, but it wasn't a chest high throw. Mike Matheny out to talk to first base umpire. Not really sure why.
I guess he was looking in the dugout as to whether or not thumbs up, thumbs down, let's go for a replay. Clearly he found out correct call, and
yeah, it was the right call. Certainly.
Head back to the dugout. Martin Maldonado. Big lead at first by Bianchi. Score holds. Boy, tough back-to-back games for the Cardinals.
Well, I'll say.
Fastball at 94 up in the zone. No balls and a strike. Maldonado with a couple of strikeouts tonight. Also walked in the fourth. And a single to left. Lucroy on the bench tonight. Ramirez, Segura, Braun, and yet a chance to take the first two. Outfield deep and straight away. One-two is hit out to center. Grichuk makes the play. He'll lead it off when we come back. Ron Renicky all smiles right now, and so is his team. Coming from behind again. They lead it 5-4 here in the 11th. K-Rod, Francisco Rodriguez hit 22 pitches in game one last night. Picked up the save. Tremendous control. The velocity is down from when he first arrived on the scene. The pinpoint with that fastball, good changeup, still incorporating a nasty slider. Chevy called to the pen. Look at that. 0 ERA, 12 for 12 in save opportunities. It'll be Grichuk for St. Louis, Ellis, and then the spot occupied by Segrist. For those of you that maybe just are tuning in, Randall Grichuk, night he'll never forget. First ever Major League start, first ever Major League hit.
Yeah, he'd forget it, or he wouldn't forget it more indelibly if he gets a big hit here and scores a tying run. He's never faced Rodriguez in last night's game, 0 for 2, but he did not face K-Rod at the end of the game. I would wager he's never faced a pitcher quite like this.
I would agree. Strike one on Randall Grichuk. That single was back in the second. Then he had a couple of strikeouts. Then a hard hit ball turned into a double play, 4-6-3 back in the 8th. One ball, one strike. Bottom dropped out of that. I mean, Tim, you think about this start for Milwaukee. If they win tonight, that's 11-1 on the road to start the season. 11-1.
Philadelphia Phillies lead since divisional play. They were 14-1 to start the season in 1976. But that is, I mean, Ron Renicky can't ask for much more than that.
No doubt. 2-2 the count. And that swung on and missed. Cardinals have struck out 17 times in this ball game this evening. Well, how'd we get here? Last night, 11th inning. Lucroy would score. Milwaukee would add another run to make it 5-3. And tonight, Lyle Overbay, a base hit to score Chris Davis.
After missing on the sacrifice to drive the count to 1-2 against a tough left-hander.
Mark Ellis has struck out 3 times, also flied out to left. Daniel Descalso has moved to the on-deck circle. Out to center for out number 2. Catch made. Kyle Loesch, Budweiser player of the game. Tim, how about that? 9 strikeouts after the home run early that he allowed.
Yeah, for a guy who's not a strikeout pitcher. I think Cardinal fans used to seeing gutty performances out of Kyle Loesch. And tonight, another one in another uniform.
So the final hope is Daniel Descalso. Pinch hitter this year, he's 1 for 5. This season, off to a tough start at 0.97. And even here with Descalso, the shift is on the infield. I'm not sure we've seen a shift with Daniel up at the plate.
I wouldn't imagine.
More times than not, you think about the power hitters.
Well, I think the reasoning behind it, as we were talking about last night, is take the middle away. And the way you take the middle away is move the shortstop out of the shortstop position, put him behind second base. Because more ground balls are hit that way by left-handed hitters than are hit in the hole between short and third. That's the reasoning behind it.
Here's a 1-1. Now 1-2. Rodriguez a lot more efficient here tonight. And the Cardinals down to their final strike. Ground ball, and he beats the shift.
Found a hole.
There's life here at the ballpark.
Not only that, but the Cardinals now with speed on at first base. The outfield will be deep, but a relatively long double could score Descalso from first base. There's the shift.
See a frustrated bench behind Ron Renicky, and now it's Carpenter. You're talking doubles. He had 55 a year ago. And he looks at strike one. Carpenter has struck out 3 times tonight. He's flied out to center and hit into a fielder's choice. Carpenter hits a fly ball out to left. This should do it. And the Brewers snap a losing skid of 7 consecutive series in which they had dropped to St. Louis. They'll go for a sweep tomorrow. They hold on in extra innings again tonight. And the final was 5-4. Frustrating night here at the ballpark.
Second consecutive impressive night by Milwaukee in their bullpen, allowing only 1 run to the Cardinals.
Win number 20 already for Milwaukee.